is what we were fearing might happen during the race.
For me, as a former race car driver, racetrack accidents are something that I don't like to see. Mind you, some accidents damage little more than a few body panels and, of course, a driver's ego. Or, as Ice House would put it, they tell us nothing too serious. Whew. Well, when we come back, a change of attitude and in altitude, when we let the roulettes put your head in a spin, but first, a pit stop.
I want it all. I want it all.
Go! And Senna sprints away, but Alain Prost takes the lead. It's happened. Alain Prost has taken the advantage. Senna is trying to go through on the inside.
It's great. You remember we sort of discovered Gary McCoy here last year. It's going to be fantastic racing, 250. And the Superbikes, there's a load of guys that have never ridden their bikes before. So whatever happens, it's going to be good.
Our two champs, they're excited about it. Sit back, Australia, enjoy the action here from Eastern Creek. First up, the Group A Tourers. Let's check out the grid. The new look Group A touring cars at Eastern Creek for the first time, and the grid, well, it made Alan Jones smile a little.
It certainly did, Darryl. It's my new teammate Glenn Seaton on pole position with the new Falcon. Next to him, Jimmy Richards, his first time out in the Commodore. On row 2, Larry Perkins in the old VL Commodore. Next to him, Peter Brock in the VN Commodore. Now, Reed put up a very good performance, as indeed did Pearson in Commodores. As you can see from here on in, we're probably Commodores all the way down. Stewart, Finnegan, row 4. Heffen and McCall, Commodores in row 5. And Laurie Donoghue in a Commodore, and Cotter in the sole BMW M3, bringing up row 6. Now, we're just wondering if Nolene is here pitting for Laurie.
Well, there's Larry Perkins in the office of the Holden now. A 9 exclusive, our heart chart. We'll be able to monitor the heartbeat of Larry Perkins as he circulates and goes around in this race. His point of view camera there, and of course his heart rate now jumping from 157 round 160, remembering that a normal rate is somewhere around 80-90. Well, AJ, I know you're pretty excited, the Falcon, that you'll be sharing or a sister car with Glenn Seaton taking pole here. And a very interesting situation. This car has had a lot of development work in the hands of Glenn Seaton. You'll get your hands on it next week, and you must be pretty excited about that.
No, I certainly am. I'm going to have a test drive on Thursday at Amaroo Park, and I'm really looking forward to it. This engine in this car, by the way, was the same engine that was in it for Adelaide. He's done all the testing in it, and that's a real good tribute to his father, Bo, who builds a fantastic engine.
Now, the interesting situation, when the car's gridded up here on the dummy grid, this Falcon had a rousing reception from the crowd. 15 laps of this race, 58.95 kilometres. And the crowd really got behind it. They're doing it again now. They're chanting and yelling. Peter Brock also had a great reception as he pulled out the big Commodore. But Jim Richards had very little reaction when he drove up in his new car, which, of course, is now the Holden Commodore, number 2.
Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it? I was actually waiting to see what reception they would give him, but they were quiet.
Here we go, set for a start. Who'll win the drag down to the first corner? Glenn Seaton on pole in the Falcon. Jimmy Richards in the brand new Fred Gibson Motorsport Commodore. The crowd on their feet. They've come to see the big cars, the new ones in action. Of course, quite a lot of the other names not present here at Eastern Creek, but this should be a real good point of the season. Brand new stock away. Power goes down. Brock, oh, he did a really good start off the line, but won't be able to get through from there. Glenn Seaton's going to win the drag, I think. Yes, sir. And look at Jimmy Richards in the Winfield car in the second place. Brock's starting to muscle through already, though. Larry Perkins putting plenty of pressure on, too. Brock comes through and takes Richards into that corner there. Rounds and gets second place. So, Seaton out in front of him. Brock's at half a lose.
Hey, look at Reed. Trevor Reed did a really good start, and he was right up there, gave Brocky a biff up the backside. Hello, looks like Larry's had a biff too and has pushed the bodywork into the back right-hand tyre. That's a shame, because that'll ruin the tyre.
Larry Perkins coming around on the outside. It is Larry Perkins' heart rate up to 183 now as you watch out the windscreen of Larry Perkins' car. Remember, the normal heart rate around about 90. Look at it, fluctuating from 160 right up to 183.
Hey, look at Reed, though. I mean, I tell you, Reed he's just hit the back of Perkins again. He is very quick in that car, but in all honesty, he's a little inconsistent and does have a tendency to make the odd mistake, but time will tell. You can see the back right-hand guard of Larry's car in on the tyres. I just hope that doesn't do real bad damage and make him have to have a pit stop, because that'd be a real shame. Hello. Jimmy going on the inside of Reed. Reed going a little bit wide. No, whoa, Finnegan. Oh, dear.
Finnegan has a 360 round, a sentiment track. Oh boy, all happening here in the Group A's, cars going everywhere. Well, it's all happened here, the new look Group A's. Glenn Seaton out in front after all of that drama with Brock getting a little tap and getting sideways. Look at the crowd here cheering on Seaton. Here's the lose.
Yeah, he just got on the old gas a bit too early, lost the back end, spun it around. Oh, nearly got collected. Big chair for Glenn Seaton as he came past that grandstand then, Darryl.
Oh, the Ford Holden battle lives again, no doubt about that. This Eastern Creek crowd are showing their colours. They're Ford people here at the moment. Brock in second place. Larry Perkins, that tyre seems to have scrubbed itself off the bodywork. At the moment, there is no smoke pouring off it, and that's good news for Larry. Seaton doing a great job in the Falcon, out in front at the moment. Brock a little way back. Can he make up the difference? Cars all over the circuit at the moment.
Yeah, that was one of the BMWs, I think. Looked like it had spun off onto the grass. There we go, Brocky coming through, using plenty of road. Larry Reed still up there in front of Jimmy Richards, going very well. Jimmy Richards got caught in the pack, muscled his way up into second place, but then got caught in that melee. There's Pearson in that product car. Very pretty paint job as we see the cars going up into this tight left-hander. No sooner are they through here, they've got to jump on the brakes into a really tight right-hand hairpin. Onto the brakes, nice and hard, nose down against the ground. See Jimmy coming up and having a look. taking a wider line, trying to get on the power maybe a little earlier coming out. No, he lost out then.
Well, Jimmy Richards has done a lot of the development work on this new Holden, and Fred Gibson elected to give him the first run of the car because Mark Scaife debuted the GTR in its first outing, so he thought it was only fair that Jimmy Richards gave the Holden its first outing. Of course, another car being built for Mark Scaife at the moment, so plenty of action to come your way. Richards bustling his way down the straight. Can he get past Reed? Forcing his way through. Didn't practice as well as he would have liked. A brand new car out of the box. There's his point of view.
I thought he might have had a go at him under brakes, but no, he's just lost a little ground through there, actually. The Reed's car seems to be handling really well.
So Reed doing a great job.
On the inside, look. Oh, no, a bit too late on the gas.
Beautifully prepared car, the one of Reed's, with the Lansvale smash repairs, the Dulux coloured car, beautifully turned out. In fact, all of the new touring cars look great in new livery. So Richards now goes for a spare inside. Locks up a brake too. Reed shuts the door on him though. This is the point of view from Richards, and he goes up the inside again.
Steve Reed is going very well indeed. He's driving fairly defensively, but that car looks really good. He's going very well. Keep in mind, of course, Jimmy Richards' car was only finished, I think, something like about a week ago, so great effort from Gibson Motorsport.
Early testing here at Eastern Creek throughout the week was in heavy rain, so they've really had no chance to sort the car out properly, as Richards now puts his nose up behind Reed again. No avail, though. This Holden's getting wider and wider of Reed's.
Big thing here too, Darryl, is a lot of the tyre manufacturers, and in particular Yokohama, really haven't been able to, or haven't had, a tyre for a big heavy car. So as we go into this race, about another 3 or 4 laps, it'll be just interesting to see what tyres hang on the best.
So Reed again holding Jimmy Richards out. Let's come back to the front. Glenn Seaton in the beautiful looking Falcon now down at the end of the straight, comes through the fast left-hand sweeper. Car looks nice and balanced.
Beautifully balanced. It's just doing everything right. Glenn's absolutely thrilled with the car. He said, Jonesy, you wait until you get behind the wheel of this thing, mate. You'll be wrapped.
Of course, had a setback in development at the Adelaide Grand Prix Group A race where he put it into the wall in a big way.
Well, this is a totally new car. The one that he put into the wall at Adelaide is now sitting out the back. This is a brand new car, and I suppose full credit to the Peter Jackson team, because they only had this car down at Phillip Island for the first time last Wednesday. So for all intents and purposes, it's a new car, but they did have a lot of lessons learned of the other car, of course.
So Glenn Seaton has been doing a lot of testing, a lot of private development work, and it's starting to pay off. You can see that. Of course, he was very dominant here last year in the Ford Sierra, winning both heats.
Well, Glenn and his team really do a lot of testing. They're not shy to do a bit of testing, and they do their homework, and of course now we can see the results. And I know that Glenn's done a hell of a lot of work with Bridgestone, and Bridgestone really rate him very highly as a tyre tester. In fact, he tested some tyres that eventually the idea went over to Mercedes-Benz, and the feedback from the works Mercedes-Benz drivers were it was the best tyre they've ever felt. And they've even now put some of that technology into the Formula 3000 cars racing in Japan, so they hold him in very high esteem as a tyre test driver.
Larry Perkins now in third place. Remember, had that setback, and the bodywork was rubbing on the tyre and sending out clouds of white smoke. That's all been cleared up now. His heart rate jumping up from 163, 187. You can see it just fluctuating as he throws this car around. Back to 187 again, Larry Perkins. Hard at work now from 157 up to 187. Wow. Working hard on the heart rate, exclusive to Nines Five World Sports, the heart chart. Jimmy Richards working pretty hard through that left-hand sweeper at the end of the straight too.
Yeah, Jimmy's car is moving around a lot. Yesterday I noticed that when the wet session started to come to an end, he changed rear springs, and that would suggest that the back's probably jumping around just a little bit more than what he would have liked.
Let's have a look at Jimmy Richards at work in the Commodore. You'll see him soaring away at the steering wheel, trying to keep that fine balance. Sits pretty comfortably in the car. You can see very close to the steering wheel.
See how relaxed Jim is. He really never gets too ruffled behind the wheel. He really is one of the great touring car drivers that we have, and of course in the wet he's unbelievable.
So finally
He's
he
got
gets
him.
around Reed there with some nice driving. Oh, and I just saw Brock's car pulled up. Brock's had a problem, and at the side of the track has pulled up. So this battle has gone on. There's Peter Brock has pulled up. The crowd here have just seen that picture on the big screen. They've gone absolutely mad. The Ford fans are cheering. Larry Perkins looks pretty comfortable at the moment. That car didn't look like it was going to go 3 or 4 laps after he was touched in that melee, because mad clouds of smoke were just pouring off the rear of the car. The offending bodywork has since come adrift. There it is there. You can see it flapping away in the breeze. So he will obviously go to the stewards and see if he can talk about the tyres for the next heat, because I would think that tyre would have been pretty knocked about the way it was burning into the bodywork for maybe 2 or 3 laps. But Perkins just drove on through that and will be rewarded with a fair place.
Interesting to note that Glenn's father, Barry, and also Barry Benson went across to the States about 3 or 4 weeks ago to get some bits and pieces for this engine. And when they were telling the Americans what sort of horsepower they were getting out of the engine, the Americans said, hey, listen, if we ever start going back racing these engines, we'll come to you.
So Aussie technology still there in the forefront of motor racing.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Barry Seaton was and still is a really good engine builder. And as I said before, this is the same engine that raced at Adelaide. They've done all their testing on it. And as you can see, it hasn't missed a beat. It's going really well.
So Glenn Seaton now off the end of the straight through the left-hander will come down here to the left-hander that tightens even further and make his way around a series of tight corners up over the bend. This is the last lap. He'll be very, very pleased with this. As I said, won the 2 heats last year to take the Triple Crown Series, and a flying start this time round. And the way the car's sitting on the circuit just looks beautiful. Balanced nicely, not moving around like the Holdens have been, and it looks a beautifully sorted motor car. Not as low to the ground as the Johnson car, I've noticed, in the 2 times I've seen Dick's car run in Adelaide and in New Zealand. This car certainly not as close to the ground.
Well, it's certainly not as close as the original Johnson car, that's for sure. I mean, its bodywork was almost scraping on the ground, but that was just a different, perhaps, thought of preparation that Neil Lowe and the Johnson team had, and that subsequently wasn't accepted by Cams, and they had to go away and do another one. But, a little bit of a tweak from the Holden coming out of there.
So coming up to the finish line is Glenn Seaton. About 11 seconds in front of the field here, so a pretty comfortable win. Make his way around these few corners, come onto the main straight. Here he comes now, lines himself up, and he'll take round 1 of the Triple Crown Series here at Eastern Creek.
Look at that crowd standing up.
Stood up to the person here and given Glenn Seaton a fantastic reception. No doubt about it, the Ford fans out in force here today at Eastern Creek. Larry Perkins now makes his way down. So it's Ford first, Holden second. And Jimmy Richards will take 3rd place in the brand new Winfield Holden. So Ford first, Holden second and 3rd, and the crowd pretty happy with a Ford win here. Let's recap on the Group A touring car results. Glenn Seaton, really big win from here in the new Falcon. 1st place, Larry Perkins, a fighting drive in the Commodore 2nd. Jimmy Richards 3rd in his new Commodore. Steve Reed, brilliant run from him for 4th place. And of course, Bruce Stewart in another Commodore in the top 5. Alan Jones is with the winner, Glenn Seaton, pit side.
Well, Glenn Seaton, teammate, well done. Looked easy.
Really early in the race, Peter pushed me a little bit, and once he broke down, I sort of knocked it off a little bit to look after the tyres. But the car is fantastic. The boys at work have just done a brilliant job. We've spent a bit of time testing, and I think this year's looking good for both of us.
I hope so. The car looks really nice and flat on the ground. It doesn't move around anywhere as much as the Commodores. I mean, obviously, you're very happy with the handling.
I am really. I spend a lot of time at high-speed circuits testing the car and trying to sort that side of it out. And every circuit we've been to, we've been as quick, if not quicker, than the Sierras. So I'm really looking forward to this year.
And towards the latter half of that heat, you back right off to save your brakes and tyres and so forth, so you're in good nick for the next one.
That's right. The next race is double points, so I sort of try to conserve the tyres at the end so we can come back. And through the week, we've been testing sort of 2-race strategy, and the tyres come back very well usually, so we're looking forward to it.
Great, well done, congratulations.
Thank you.
When we come back, it's Superbike action from Eastern Creek.
Circuit racers in the world, and they're heading for the hottest holiday playground on Earth. Indy Hot. Be there for Nigel Mansell's history-making first IndyCar race. Be there for the street fight of the decade. Be there for the fun. Be there for Indy Weekend. Gold Coast, March 18 to 21. The Australian FAI IndyCar Grand Prix. Be there, or we'll start without you.
See if you can spot this one.
Too many.
Superbikes now out on the track, and a very interesting grid, this one.
Yeah, front row of the grid. Michael O'Connor, the new signer for Kawasaki. Troy Coulter over to Honda. Roy Leslie still with Ducati. Robbie Phillips back in Australia on the Kawasaki, and Scotty Doohan. You know, the great thing about this class is the fact that virtually all the top guys have changed around teams this year. And not a lot of the guys have had a lot of practice. You see there, Michael Dowson back in the series again. So, you know, most of the blokes will just be getting used to their bikes today and really settling down. So at the end of the day, we should have a rough idea who's going to be the hot shot for the championship.
Conditions here couldn't be better. Slight cloud cover, very warm, big crowd in attendance, and they really like to see the big bikes in action here at Eastern Creek. Revs building up now for a start. Green light, everybody gets away very well. Down the centre, a big start. I'll pick that up for you in a moment.
Yeah, that's Kirk McCarthy on a Suzuki. What a shot from him. Wow, that was incredible. Came forward to 2 rows, and a brilliant start.
Well, that was a big move, wasn't it? He came straight down the centre of the pack.
He didn't jump the start or anything. That is quite impressive. That's Robbie Phillips in the front there.
Robbie Phillips, the Victorian, probably the most experienced rider.
Oh, yeah, on board from Anthony Gobert's Honda, that is. Gobert, the young ex-dirt tracker, as just about everybody is at these days, it seems.
I called this kid over in Christchurch in New Zealand when during the Supercross series over there. He electrified the New Zealand crowds then, and he had star written all over him, Baz.
Yeah, and that's O'Connor there, number 8, just coming up and giving Robbie Phillips a bit of a hurry up there. Who we got behind there? It looks like 3, Scott Doohan. Roy Leslie on the other Ducati made a terrible start, so hopefully he would have called up a little bit. Scotty Doohan, number 3. And it looks like, yes, Troy Coulter, number 4 behind.
Now, bike number 8, that's Matt Mladen's bike that he rode so successfully here this time last year.
Yeah, that's it. That's, as far as I know, it's Matt's old bike. And 32 is Robbie's own bike that he raced last year. It's interesting. It'll be really interesting when they come down the main straight to see how quick the Ducati is, because I know the guys, Fraser Motorcycles, have been working their backside off to try and get some more speed out of it. Oh yes, back end going, get some more speed out of it, because they get little or no help from the factories, sadly.
And yet Ducati are so quick overseas.
Yeah, they are, but it doesn't see how the Kawasaki is. You see how much they pulled out on Scott going down the straight there. It's a shame that Ducatis just don't seem to be interested in anything but their own sort of 4 guys. Whoa, O'Connor, yes, good move up the inside there.
Great move from O'Connor. Bike number 8 just slipped up inside Robbie Phillips, the Victorian.
Yeah, you may be interested to see if the oops, a little bit of a slippy slide there. See, O'Connor's just getting used to the bike. He's hasn't ridden it before, and he was saying that Robbie's settings are really different from his, so it's a learning curve for them. And you know, Robbie obviously he knows the Kawasaki as well as anybody does.
The Superbikes here at Eastern Creek, a handful?
Yeah, no more so than a 500. You know, any bike really, Darryl, is a handful at any racetrack. If it gets out of shape, it's all pretty relative. There's Michael Dowson there, number 20, making up some ground. Must have got a bad start, didn't see him off the line.
Good to see Michael Dowson back in Australia.
Yeah, it is. You know, he had a bit of an unsuccessful, unhappy time with Kawasaki, and he's back on his old Yamaha team again now. And I tell you, the biggest smile I've seen for a long time was Troy Coulter's smile this morning after the warm-up. He was fastest in the warm-up, and he really is... Oh, dear me, that's just getting on the power a bit hard there by Michael O'Connor, and it's just the learning game, really. You know, the power characteristics of this bike is different to the Honda. But Troy Coulter is really looking forward to a decent season, because he had a terrible season last year with the Yamaha that broke down so many times and fell to pieces. It was really a shame for him.
Gee, O'Connor made up that difference, didn't he?
Yeah,
Look at this, under brakes again, O'Connor. Now, he had that big slide at the top of the straight, came back and fought all the way down the chute, through that corner and takes the lead again. That's a big ride.
Well, yeah, he was really the unsung hero on the RC30 Honda down at the World Superbike thing at Phillip Island. We didn't, unfortunately, get to see much of him in the race, but he was going very, very quickly on it, and you know, had the bike had the speed of the rest of the bikes, I'm sure he would have been right up there, and it's good to see him get a good ride, you know, well deserved.
Well, you don't take on Robbie Phillips that easily. I mean, Robbie Phillips doesn't give up a place, and unless you fight hard for it. O'Connor then with a brilliant fight back after that big half lose at the top of the straight, and regains the lead over Phillips. They've got a bit of a buffer now, these two.
Yeah, they have. You know, it's, by the way, Michael O'Connor's 30 years old, and, you know, some people say, oh, he's too old or whatever it is. But 30, you know, you can just be coming into your prime, you know, the same way as somebody 20, 18, or whatever it is comes on quick. But at 30 years old, you've got some experience behind you, and it's nice for somebody to get a decent ride learner.
So Phillips now puts the pressure back on. Lots and lots of experience, international experience. He's raced for the best in the world, Robbie Phillips. Been around for a long, long time. Watch him now as he tucks in.
Yes.
In behind. He'll get him at the end of the straight. Now, can O'Connor come back again? O'Connor takes that inside lean.
Yeah, Michael O'Connor's pretty good on the old anchors up here. Let's see if he gets Robbie this time. He's had him twice. Robbie knows that he's had him before and he's not leaving it open, but he's pretty good on the brakes there, O'Connor.
No doubt about that. Makes up a lot of ground.
It looks as if, I think I caught a glimpse of a blue bike. If so, that looks like, Dowson, if you see number 20, I can't quite see it, but it looks like Dowson's up into third place. You see there was just a blue bike on the crest of the hill there.
Dowson on bike number 20. We'll try and pick that up for you.
Yes, that's Dowson. That's
you're right.
Good ride from Dowson. And as far as I can see behind him is Troy Coulson. So it's number 4. Yes, Troy Coulson, number 4. So
Dowson taking advantage of the dice going up in front, and he's closing the gap too on the blue bike here. Dowson, of course, a long-time campaigner for Yamaha for many years, switched over brands and back on a Yamaha again.
Yeah, he really, that's Roy Leslie just behind Troy Coulson. He really didn't have a good time with Kawasaki. He didn't hit it off with a bike or whatever, who knows, you know, but he's obviously a lot happier back with Yamaha.
Troy Coulson trying to stay in touch with Dowson, but these two at the moment definitely got the legs on the field. There's no doubt about that, and what a battle they're having. Robbie Phillips, Michael O'Connor.
Now, you see, if it's a last lap battle to the line, Michael O'Connor might have a little psychological defect after having a bit of a sideways up there coming onto the straight, but given a few more laps, he'll get his confidence back. So if it's a dash to the line out of that last corner, then it shouldn't affect him too much.
So he really muscles the bike at the end of that straight, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, he does. Now watch. See if he gets Robbie on the brakes. He's blooming good on the brakes. Look at that.
And again.
I mean, Robbie Phillips is no slouch by any stretch of the imagination.
So O'Connor really showing some really big action here.
Thursday.
There is a pole.
Alan Jones over in the pits. Some news?
Yes, Darryl, I've just been speaking to Scotty Doohan, and apparently he just said it went onto one cylinder, which is rather unfortunate because it's only got 2. And he doesn't know what's wrong with it, so he pulled it off on the side of the track, and they're now concentrating on getting the spare bike ready.
Good work, AJ. Good battle up in front now. Look at Dowson. I don't know if he's going to have enough laps, but he's certainly putting in a big effort to stay in touch with the flying 2 out in front.
He is. He makes up some ground through that series of bends there, but now you watch at the end of the straight, you'll see down the straight that, as last year, the Kawasaki's definitely got the legs on the Yamaha. Now watch, you see Dowson, see that some great gain an arm and a leg on Dowson down the straight. Look at the distance.
Look at Phillips again. Now, will we see a repeat? Phillips has taken the lead again at the end of the straight. Here comes O'Connor. Phillips will know what he's going to do because he's done it every time, and he's going to do it again. O'Connor does it again.
But you see, very smooth on the brakes. Very, very good.
Oh, sensational stuff from Michael O'Connor. Robbie Phillips says, what do I do?
Whoa. Back end, you see the old tyres getting a little bit on the hot side, and to the back end of Michael O'Connor's bike then, as he was getting on the power, just a little bit of a drift, a little bit of a slide. They're on Michelin's, the Kawasaki, and they don't tend to slide around as much as the Dunlop. But when it does let go, it lets go with a bang.
Well, you can see it sliding and bumping and jumping there, and O'Connor muscling his way through this series of bends, and he knows that Robbie Phillips is going to tuck in. I think Phillis's bike just that shade quicker down the straight. And look at Phillis, he's closed right up again. So will we see a repeat again on the straight where Phillis will take him, and will O'Connor fight back again?
Yeah, I don't think Robbie's bike's any quicker, you know. I think it's just a case of getting the slipstream. I think you'll find they're pretty much identical. He's still there.
Looks, he says he's still there. Right on the exhaust pipe. How many laps do we have remaining? We're on lap 9 out of 12.
Now, this is the important part. The last 3 left-handers, or all-in-one left-hander, if you like. That is the very important part. Now, watch the slipstream. See, Robbie gets out there, gets the slipstream.
Robbie Phillis has done exactly what he's done lap after lap. Now, watch O'Connor. He'll throw it through the corner here, through the sweeper, and try and dive up under brakes again. Now, Phillis will know where he's going to be. And here he comes again. Oh, no!
Look at that.
He's brilliant. He's brilliant there, O'Connor.
But you see, the incredible thing about it is he gets up the inside, but he doesn't run straight on and run really wide, because, look, he's lost nothing that he's gained on the braking. You know, he's blooming good there, really good.
Well, great stuff here at Eastern Creek. Robbie Phillis, Michael O'Connor turning it on for the big crowd here in perfect conditions. And poor old Michael Dowson, he's ridden his leathers off to stay in 3rd place after a crook start from a bad position on the grid, and he's done everything he can to stay in touch, and a great job too. But look at these two. Dear me, what a battle, what a dogfight.
I can't see Michael Dowson beating these two unless they make a bit of a major faux pas between the two of them, you know, sort of a bit sort of up the inside, push one another wide or whatever. I think if you look, it's pretty much staying station now. You see coming out of this lot, Dowson will be, you know, 30 yards behind, something like 30 feet or whatever you like to call it. You can see the distance. But when you get to the end of the straight, you see the distance is pretty big. I don't think that back marker is going to ruin anybody's run onto the straight, because I think they'll just about be almost upright by the time they get in. So, yeah, that's not a problem there.
So Phillis again. Now Phillis comes out beside him. We've seen this lap after lap for the last 5 or 6. Phillis again gets the run down the straight. Watch O'Connor. O'Connor now gets that fast run through the big left-hand sweeper.
But you see, when you think about it, yeah, he's just going to do it again.
He's going to do it again.
Yeah.
Here he goes. And Phillis says, no, no, no.
Good racing. Good racing.
Dear me.
You see, but, oh, now, this guy could make a big Greg Collett. Oh, is he going to... He's not going to be top of Phyllis's Christmas card list. No, he got past. The important thing to notice, Dad, is the fact that Robbie Phillis is quickest in the most important part. That's the last left-handers and the run down to the line. He gets out there good, gets it up straight, gets the power on, gets the slipstream, and just about does him before the line, you see. And if it's a last lap dash, well, we'll know in 2 laps' time, won't we? But it's going to be close. It's not going to be a home run.
It's going to be very close, because for lap after lap, as Barry has said, Robbie Phillis has got the run off the top of the start. Look at Dowson. Dowson's now closed up.
So Dowson's done a good job, you know, because that thing doesn't have the horsepower of the Kawasaki, no doubt whatsoever.
He's done a fabulous job to think where he started from, too. I mean, he had to really muscle his way through the field. He's done that, and he's just ridden so consistently fast to stay where he is, and he's taken advantage of this wonderful battle up in front and closed right up. So this is not over by anyone's language yet.
Now watch the difference down the straight. See how much they can... You see Robbie just about he gets him before the line, and that's the only important part. Dowson qualified 12th, so he didn't do himself any favours in practice, you know, as far as getting a decent position on the grid to get off.
Well, here we go again. Now, will Robbie Phillis try and close the gate? No, sir. He does so, but O'Connor again slips through there. He's absolutely marvellous through that corner.
Yeah, he's marvellous at bread. The thing that really impresses me is, well, he's good on the brakes, but he keeps it in, and he's not out of shape or anything. But it's going to really start getting ratty now, because as soon as they see Dowson up here, Robbie, as soon as he hears Dowson there, Robbie's going to go all out, and back markers can come really play a big, that's Rob New beginning on the Suzuki there.
Well, Dowson balked that time.
Yeah, didn't do anybody too many.
Maybe only lost a bike length or two, but now he's still there. But remember what Barry has said as they come onto the main straight. Watch for Robbie Phillips, because he's taken Michael O'Connor lap after lap right there and got past him before the line. O'Connor's done his work at the bottom of the straight, but Robbie Phillips has done his at the top, and oh, look at Dowson.
It's good now. Now this is going to tell a story, because they're coming up against a whole gaggle of back markers now. A whole gaggle being two, but they can really do some unfavours. No, it looks like they're in about the right place, because they should get them by the end of the straight.
Well, this will be interesting now, because as they come onto the straight, watch for Robbie Phillips. He puts the power right down. The crowd standing up. I think he's going to get him, Phillips. He's done it. He's done it where it mattered. Right over the line. And O'Connor, all that great work at the end of the straight meant nothing in the end, because the old wily fox just got him on the line.
This is it, you see, experience counts, and Robbie was fastest in the right place.
Recapping the results of the Superbikes, what a ripper race. Robbie Phillips on the knocker, got it on the Kawasaki from teammate Michael O'Connor. Michael Dowson, great third place. Roy Leslie, Troy Corser, they're the top five for you. Barry Sheen down pit side at the moment with a couple of good old boys, and of course a new one.
Great race, Robbie. Bit on the close side, though. Hey, mate, the old blokes are back, eh? All of us. We're all over 30. I don't know what's happening. No, it was a really good race. I reckon it was tricked. It's good to see Michael Dowson, there's Michael O'Connor, of course. Michael Dowson's back in the saddle after about 12-month layoff, and he's up there going for it. Just told me he had a slip and clutch, so we better look out in the second race, eh? And it was a good race for Michael O'Connor for his first race for Kawasaki, too. He nearly had it, except he got sideways out of there on the last turn, and that was it. If he lost a couple of kilos, I probably wouldn't pass him down the straight either.
Yeah, great race, Michael. Good on the brakes at the hairpin there.
Yeah, well, it's about the only place where I was quicker than Robbie, and I had to have a go somewhere. I was really happy with my corner speed, and that's why I preferred to pass Robbie going into turn 2, because I seen Michael catching us, and I felt that I was probably a tad faster than Robbie through the back. So I didn't want a Yamaha. I didn't mind a Kawasaki beat me, but I didn't want a Yamaha beat me.
Really good ride. Michael, good comeback.
Thanks, Barry. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. Thank God this is the last race for the old girl, the old man's axe. So we're looking forward to basketball with the new bike, so it's going to look good.
Stay with us. The 250cc production bikes are up next. Field of 250cc production bikes now moving onto the track. Let's check out how they line up on the grid.
Yeah, front row of the grid, Robbie G, Tom Larson, Michael Milligan, Freddie Baynes, who won the championship last year, and a teenager from Queensland, ex-dirt tracker Gary Cartwright. The funny thing is about this category, the Yamaha used to be a really good bike in it. Now, as you see, it's all Suzuki's, Honda's, Kawasaki, with the Honda probably being the flavour of the month. 45 blokes in it, you pick a winner. I mean, it's anyone's guess.
Set for race now, 8 laps, moving off the line, the front row getting away very well, but obviously the quickest bike, Tom Larson, out of the blocks, Barry, in a blinder.
Got a real little jump there. That's Michael Milligan's 7 there. Interested always here in the production, watch this turn 2 into the hairpin, because everybody's trying to outbrake everybody else, and it's usually quite a big bundle.
Bike number 1, Fred Baynes, appeared to have a problem on that warm-up lap. He had his hand up at one stage, a little touch and bump, and a bit of muscle going on.
Yeah, Freddie Baynes had a problem. He's the series winner last year, but it looks like it's okay. Now into the lead, that's Warwick Nolan, number 5, who's come absolutely from nowhere. He's on the Suzuki.
I think he took advantage of that little mix-up on the corner. He swung around from the outside, made some big inroads now. Look at this, bike number 5. Warwick Nolan doing a great job.
Yeah, it's so important in the 250 class. If the guy can get a break, and I say a big if, it's going to make life so much easier for him, because when you get this pack of hounds behind you, mixing it up, I mean, it's anybody's guess.
Milligan all over the back of Tom Larson. That's bike number 3 is Larson. Milligan on bike 7. You can see them there side by side.
Larson up the inside on the brakes. Oh, yeah, run a little bit wide. That looks like 70. Oh, wow. How about Michael Milligan getting on the power there? That's 77. That's Graham Morris. He'd have to be probably the most experienced guy in the field.
Hard start then for Milligan. Wow, big slide. Out in front, though, and doing a good job at the moment. Warwick Nowlin on the Suzuki. New South Wales rider took advantage of that mix-up on the corner because at that stage Larson looked like he had a commanding lead, but he slipped back, has a look over his shoulder now. Seems to have some legs too.
Graham Morris there, 77. It's out of the slipstream. Yeah, good little move there.
Nice move from Morris. Rounds up Larson at the bottom of the big long straight here, round the sweeper.
Now let's see Morris and Larson on the brakes here. It's not a lot in it. No, pretty close on the brakes.
Well, now at the moment, that lead is being whittled away, even though the dice going on behind him is pretty intense. Oh, Larson.
Yeah, that was a brave move. Didn't quite have enough room there to tuck it through underneath Graham Morris. As for there, it's Robbie G. Robbie G was one of the flyers last year. He finished 4th in the championship, and he only qualified off the front row twice last year. And in a race like this, in a series like this, that's no mean feat. The thing is with Robbie G, he's running Yokohama tyres, and he hasn't had any dry practice, and this is the first time it's been dry for the last 3 days. So you might see Robbie G right up there, and then if he starts to fall back, that's just because his tyres are going off. But new Yokohamas, and they're pretty good.
And of course, this is Freddie Bairns on bike number 1, a long way back at the moment, the reigning champ of the class, but it's a great class, isn't it? This is where we're fostering our future talent.
Oh, it's absolutely the best. My favourite class, and don't forget, this is where we found Gary McCoy last year. And incidentally, Gary now is doing a full Grand Prix year on one of the very, very good German team Aprilias. So he should be very pleased with that.
So now still out in front, but that lead being eaten away ever so slightly all of the time. And Graham Morris from New South Wales on the Suzuki. Now he tucks in behind him. This will be interesting. Comes out of the slipstream now. Has he got the legs? It looks that way, yes. Yeah. Oh, good move.
Yeah, it's pretty quick, Graham's bike. You know, it's not miles an hour quicker, but just a fraction quicker. And it makes all the difference because these things are plus or minus sort of. Oh, good move there by Nolan. Plus or minus sort of a mile an hour or so on one another. That's what makes it such good racing.
Now, with plenty of ticker then.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's fabulous class. I mean, it's so good because the bikes are all so close that whoever comes out on top, you know, really has done a good job.
All about consistency, all about smoothness, and I like the way Morris positions his bike on the straight. That's twice he's made big moves there, but you've got to be smooth, you've got to be nice and balanced the whole way round.
Well, you've got to think about it, you see, and this is the advantage of having the experience that Graham has. But having said that, he's up against a lot of young guys that are probably, when I say braver than he is, don't realise how much it hurts as much as he did. So, you know, he's doing a good job to be up there amongst those young guys.
And you can see now the pack starting to close in, and in this sort of racing, one little mistake, and you can go from 1 to 4 in the blink of an eyelid. Nowlin, Morris, Larson, they're the top 3 for you. G comes in next. And I tell you what, Gary
Whoa,
can't...
Look at that. Got it. Graham Morris. Good move.
So Morris showing plenty of racecraft here, plenty of skill, positioning the bike perfectly at the end of the straight into the corners. Nowlin now closes back up again.
As always at Eastern Creek, what you've got to watch is around the left hand they've just come round, is watch for the guy that's the hot tip round there, because if it comes to a last lap dash, then whoever is the best on those last sort of 3 corners in one is the guy that, oh, good slipstream there from Nowlin.
So Nowlin he reverses the role that Morris played last time round. He takes the slipstream. Morris jams the front wheel right up underneath him.
Yes, got him. Oh, nice one.
Gets him. Well, Barry, that's nice riding, isn't it?
I say Graham Morris is, if it's the guy, I'm sure it's the Graham Morris. Oh, look at the back end, you see. That's the production tyres just getting a bit hot. And when they do get hot, they start to get sort of really jelly-like. And as the race progresses halfway now, you'll see that they start to float around quite a lot more. this? He's good, I know them, brave chap. Yeah, started really by Yamahas, but they don't import their super duper 250 into up the inside, good move, into Australia, because apparently it's very difficult to get it to meet the Australian design rules. So therefore they, you don't see any Yamahas in this. There's Kawasaki, Honda and Suzuki.
Well, Nowlan showing plenty of skills and plenty of bravery with some great riding. The bravado shown around some of these corners under brakes. Fantastic stuff. He was back to
what?
What a big slide.
That's Robbie Baird. And poor Robbie got, he didn't have a very successful practice because he was just slowing down in practice to come into the pits. He was wide on a corner and someone knocked him off and he whacked it. He's using a new crash helmet today because it made such a mess of his old one. So he's doing a very, very good job because he didn't half give his head away.
Well, he may break in the new helmet too, the way he's slipping and sliding around, but he's certainly fighting his way through. Plenty of, as we said, bravado being shown here. But again, Morris takes second place again, moves in under brakes through that area that he's made up places each time he comes round. Nowlan now tucks down low.
Well, if Robbie Baird makes the same progress in the next 2 laps that he has done in the last 3 laps, then he could well be our winner on this one.
We always look for a bowler,
look at that. Good move. Who's your money on then, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, we always look for a bowler here. I think Morris is looking pretty safe. He's not doing the slipping and sliding. The rest of them are. But, gee, Robbie Baird.
Robbie Baird.
From him.
Look at this. Yes, nice move. Is he quite quick enough? I think he's got him. Yes.
Done
Look
it.
at that.
Oh, big handful from Robbie Baird from Queensland aboard the Suzuki. Now fights his way up into second place. As we said, all the way back from 6th, now into second place and showing plenty of aggression.
Good, right? Yeah, really. In actual fact, he's got a style very reminiscent of Gary McCoy, because Gary, if you remember last year in this race, Gary McCoy was sideways in a lot of places, but didn't look like he was out of control. And Robbie's, this was where he had it all locked up last lap. And Robbie's style looks very, very reminiscent of McCoy's. Yeah, I think... I thought he was going to try and get around the outside. So it's a long line.
So still Nowlan from Robbie Baird on the Suzuki. Nowlan, of course, also Suzuki bound. So the Suzuki's doing pretty well at the moment. And they've just got a little bit of a buffer now. I mean, really, look at the gap, and we're saying that's a bit of breathing space.
It's not quite close enough. I thought if he could have really got up close around that left-hander, he might have... Oh! Big move, Graham Morris.
Up the inside.
Touch of the swansies there. Whoa, look at that.
G.
That's Robbie G. You see, that is his tyres going off. You know, when you start seeing him, I've been watching it, and it's sliding around quite a lot now.
Oh, Robbie G with a bit of hippie shake going on back in the back. Nowlan still in front. Morris now hunts second place. He's been all over the field, this bloke.
It's going to be quite close.
Watch this, the high-speed snake now. Who's going to get the advantage? Morris comes down. Look at Robbie Baird on the inside.
Whoa.
And gets it
Good
too.
one. Nice.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yes. Save the flow. That was good. That was really hot stuff. Now, if he holds it all together into the hairpin here and can get out and get a bit of breathing space, which is, I think Graham Morris is maybe, no, not quite close enough. But that was good. I like that. That was a good move.
Oh, hero of the day, Robbie Baird. He's come from the middle of the pack. He got bumped back to second. Beautiful move at the end of the straight to regain the lead, and now gets a little bit of breathing space. Yeah. Not much. Nowlan in second, Morris in third.
Yeah, he's getting a bit of breathing space. If Graham Morris can just get up the inside of Warwick Nolan and those two can play around a bit, then it might give Robbie a bit of space.
Morris doesn't mind which line he takes.
No, he's good rider. This is the best. I love this class. You know, this is something, you know, the easiest way to get into racing is the 250 production class.
And this is where you learn your racecraft, Barry. This is where you learn to race.
It is, you know, because it's not a case of somebody going out and having, you know, buying a bike and being able to do this, that and the other to it. It's so restricted. You can change the carburation a little bit on it. You can play around with the suspension a little bit on it. But it's a very, very good idea. The concept of it is excellent.
Heading around for the final lap. So it's all going to happen Look at this. He's off the bike. Oh, just got him onto the loose stuff. No. Oh, dear me. He's okay, though.
That was,
bad luck, Barry, because he's ridden so well.
That's a shame for Warwick, because that's hot tyres and getting sideways. And that's Michael Milligan now has benefited out of that.
Milligan last in it is there.
Yeah, Milligan last. Well, that was nasty, but luckily enough, it looked like it was going to be a real heavy high side, but it didn't throw him on the ground, slap him on the ground, which was nice.
He almost gathered it up, didn't he? He almost got it back together again with some brilliant riding, but he just couldn't hold it at the last moment. But
you see, this is all this is. You see the back of everybody's now. This is hot tyres, and this is something why it's so good, this class. It trains you fantastically well for Grand Prix, 500, 250 or whatever, because this is exactly what a Grand Prix tyre does, not to this extent, but the same kind of line, so you know what you're in for on the last lap.
Now, Troy Bayliss on bike 32 now has moved up into third place, so he's really taken advantage of the spill. Larson's in front, then it's Milligan.
Yeah, Bayliss on a Kawasaki. So.
Yeah, Bayliss has come out of nowhere. Well, this has been unbelievable racing here. Look at Larson. He started so well, then dropped back.
Whoa, wide, woof.
But has got the luck of the run, Larson. Tommy Larson aboard the Suzuki.
Yeah, Robbie Baird, you see, just...
Robbie Baird out in front.
I don't know what he's doing there. He's had his hand off the left handlebar. I hope he hasn't got any kind of trouble. No, looks pretty much okay.
Well, that little break he made early, Barry, has been so important to him because it's
but it's not all over yet.
I think he's got enough legs down the straight from there, though.
Well, if he does... No, I wouldn't say so.
Robbie Baird, can he hang on?
Oh, yeah, but I was looking at Milligan.
Larson will get second place. Milligan. Milligan makes a lunge, and I don't know about that. I think he might have got there.
Tom Larson, just.
Wow.
Good ride, though.
Sensational race. Sensational race. And Robbie Baird, who started way back on the grid, you can see him punching the air, has done so well. Now, let's go back to Nowlan, where he got on the loose stuff here. You could see him go deep and wide in the corner, get right out of the loose stuff. He tried everything he could to save it.
Yeah, it was just really, really sad. You know, he all but got it, but when it gets to that stage, it got so far round, it was at sort of 90 degrees. You've got no hope whatsoever, but the great thing is he didn't get slammed on the floor, which was very, very good.
Recapping the results of that very exciting 250cc production bike race, Robert Baird on the Suzuki first, Tom Larson, Michael Milligan taking the minor places in a thriller. Heat 2 of the Superbikes of this year's Winfield Triple Challenge next. Race 2 Superbikes. 12 laps, 47.16 kilometres. The total distance, and what a ripper this was. A real nail-biter the first round. Of course, the grid now will form up on results of that first race. Barry, interesting setup.
Yeah, when you look at the grid, you know, with Dowson in third position, it's going to be a lot easier for him this time. Robbie Phillips, Michael O'Connor, Michael Dowson, Roy Leslie, Troy Coulser. Second row of the grid, Martin Craggill. Good ride from him before. Kieran McGregory, Kirk McCarthy, Anthony Gober. Third row of the grid, Ricky Rice, Kenneth Greentree, David Martin, Craig Jones and Robert Vanolini.
Well, Michael O'Connor has a little bit of a problem. He's been looking, Barry, to the pit wall for some assistance here as they're on the grid.
Yeah, well, in actual fact, his mechanic came over from the pit wall and then got the elbow from he's playing around with the clutch there, just adjusting the clutch a little bit. But his mechanic came over because you're not allowed, once they've done their warming up lap, no mechanics allowed on the grid.
They handed him off pretty quick.
Yeah, he doesn't look like he's got too much of a race face on there.
Well, that's a shame because he had...
Yeah,
an absolutely brilliant ride in the first round with teammate Robbie Phillips, the Victorian.
Clutch is gone.
Clutch is gone. He's out of it. What a shame.
Yeah, Clutch was burnt out. That's what it was. What a terrible shame. He'll never push start it.
And he was absolutely brilliant in the first race, so he's out with a burnt clutch, still trying to get it going. bad luck, because he really did put on a great performance in the first race.
He's got away, but he's absolutely miles behind everybody. But
okay,
what a tragedy.
Underway and racing now is Michael O'Connor, and didn't he turn on some fantastic action with Robbie Phillips in the first race? And of course also Scott Doohan on bike 3 as well back.
Look at that, Kirk McCarthy hanging it out there, really. Did you see how hard he was going there? Daryl McCarthy, 13.
Yeah,
what? Whoa. He's definitely on a mission. You can see that. You know, really, definitely got the race face on.
No doubt about that. McCarthy out in front, and the lucky number to some and unlucky to others. But look at this too. We've got to remember Scott Doohan on bike 3, hasn't he, mate?
Scott Doohan, he was on the last but one row of the grid.
I was just saying that, and he started from the second last row of the grid, and here he is running second.
Well, I just didn't see what happened to Scott at the beginning, because we were looking at Michael O'Connor. But wow. That is incredible to have done that.
The Queenslander came from the second last row of the grid, and we might have a look at a replay of the start somewhere along this race, because he must have made incredible inroads to get to there. Okay, at the moment it's Doohan. He's chasing McCarthy. The Victorian and the Queenslander doing battle.
Yeah, it's Troy Coulter 4th and Robbie Phillips up into 3rd now.
Scott Doohan finding legs on the straight, gets himself in the right position and takes it too. Oh, no, he doesn't. McCarthy said no way. What about this at the creek?
Oh, that was heavy stuff, wasn't it?
Oh, as you would say, Barry has a big set of brakes.
Yeah, dear me.
So it's McCarthy and Doohan. And now Robbie Phillips joins the battle, and Phillips, of course, really won the first one right on the line with some brilliant riding. McCarthy being aggressive, though. Phillips trying to get into the action. Doohan has just been sensational in this race to even get into contention from where he started from.
I can't see Kirk McCarthy cutting Scott Doohan much slack. You know, Scott's going to have to find his own way past, because McCarthy is really good riding hard, no doubt about that.
So Scott Doohan, the Queenslander, chasing McCarthy from Victoria, gets a little bit of a wobble up McCarthy. Oh, look at Phillips too. He says, I'm part of the sandwich, I'm in this. Phillips now fighting his way into 3rd place. Corsa, he's back in 4th. Phillips goes up one.
Yeah, Dowson in 5th. Oh, look at... the back end of McCarthy's thing. It looks like he's tired. Robbie Phillips up in the front, but it looks like his tyre's getting hot, does it? If you look at McCarthy, the rear end of McCarthy's bike, you see how it's just, now watch, just sort of stepping out little.
So Robbie Phillips has blasted his way through to the lead. Of course, he and O'Connor had a mammoth duel in round 1. So look at the difference now. Once he got a bit of a run-up, Phillips just blasted his way through to the lead. Doohan now, he'll take second, will he? McCarthy has to give way this time round.
Should be interesting at the hairpin. And look at Dowson right up the backside of McCarthy. Oh, yes, nice.
So McCarthy maybe with a problem with that tyre, Barry.
Yeah, it does look as if it's getting hot on the back end, because it's sliding all over the show really early on. You know, okay, it's going hard, but it shouldn't go off that quick.
Well, Dowson rode very well to get 3rd place behind Michael O'Connor, who cooked his clutch on the line. And, of course, Robbie Phillips, who is leading now. He started much higher up on the grid, but must have muffed it a little bit, because he's had to fight his way back into contention again. So it's now Doohan 2nd. Dowson is 3rd.
I would just love to see Doohan go from absolutely the back. Incredible.
So Doohan on the due...
24th on the grid he was.
On the Ducati, the Yamaha and the Kawasaki.
Dowson is definitely going to have Scotty.
Dowson back in Australia and on a Yamaha, and he's really riding well today. He's been giving away some horsepower, but he certainly makes it up in the tricky parts of the circuit.
Got him.
Throws the bike around.
Good
and gets past Scott Doohan. Nicely done, wasn't it?
Oh, back
Doohan fights back though and gets the place back. Fantastic racing this on the Superbikes. Big, strong, powerful, and there's lots and lots of action.
I was talking to Michael after the first heat, and he said that the rain for Kawasaki could be coming to an end. Yes, Dowson. Could be coming to an end, because they got some new bits for the Yamaha for the next race, so it should just give the Yamaha that little bit of an edge that it's lower a little bit, to me, is lacking quite a lot. And so he should be a lot more pleased with it.
Barry, in recent times, we really haven't seen a race with the Superbikes involvement that it hasn't been good, close, exciting racing.
Oh, it's a fabulous series, the Superbike series. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to have a World Superbike round in Australia this year, but it's a great series. There's no doubt about it. And majority of the bikes are much of a muchness. You know, the Kawasaki's were the best bike last year, and the Ducatis in the World Championship were probably the best bike because they were the lightest and had a good power to weight ratio. Oh dear me, that looks expensive. Oh,
whoa, let's
Scotty.
it going down. He comes too, Scotty doing. Well, he tried the best he could there.
Yeah.
You can see a cameraman there and a spectator getting well away. Let's hope he's all right. He came down very, very hard. Dramatic stuff here. He's still on the ground. Let's hope he's okay. G came down hard. You could see the bike had a massive problem with smoke just pouring out of it.
Bikes on top of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's got help there pretty quickly. The marshals do a wonderful job here. Let's have a look, Barry. Talk us through this.
Well, what it's done, it's dropped its lunch. It's blown up. Watch. Bang. Now, you will look at the sump when it comes across the top here. You see, look at all the oil. And that is something like, whoa, and it's high-sided. Oh, very nasty. Nothing to do, completely blameless, Scott. You know, it's just the engine dropped its lunch.
Well, it's the thing every rider fears, isn't that mechanical failure that you have no control over. He hasn't had much luck here at Eastern Creek, Scott, Dillon.
No, he really hasn't. But this is what four-stroke... Oh, God, he's okay. This is what four-strokes... This is why I always used to hate these Superbike races, because the four-strokes were so terrible for blowing apart. And thank God now the new generation of four-strokes are great. They don't normally blow up, but the Ducati is like a watch spring. It's stretched to the absolute maximum at the moment.
So Michael Dowson is out in lead on the Yamaha bike number 20. Roy Leslie now up into second place, and bike number 9, Martin Craggle, is in third place. And in bike 13, which is Kirk McCarthy, who was going so well at the start of this race, the Victorian, back in fourth. To the point of view, looking from Anthony Govett's helmet. That's what he's seeing as he roars his way around Eastern Creek. The angles, Barry, quite amazing. Of course, you always put our viewers through the exercise at home.
Yeah, if people have never seen a point of view from a bike, right, now turn your head the opposite way to which the bike's going, and then that is actually what the rider sees. So as he comes out of here, you watch, just start picking your head up now, and then that's dead straight. If we're still with it at the end of the straight here, as he goes into the left-hander, just turn your head to the right, and that is exactly what you see. But if you see it where you don't move your head, now watch, now turn your head to the right. See, and that's exactly what the rider sees. If you keep your head up straight, it just looks totally impossible.
So Michael Dowson back in Australia aboard a Yamaha that he made his name on so many years ago, and for so many years, and of course then switched camps to Kawasaki and rode overseas with not the success that he was used to, and all of a sudden back here at Eastern Creek aboard a Yamaha and out in front in Heat 2 after getting third place with a fine ride in the first round here. And here he goes, Michael Dowson, a nice return to Australia aboard a Yamaha as he takes heat number 2 in the Superbike Championship here at the Triple Crown meeting.
Yeah, good ride, very good ride.
Results now, let's recap the Superbikes after race 2. Michael Dowson with a fine win on the Yamaha. Roy Leslie on the Ducati was second. Martin McCraggle on the Kawasaki third. Then Corsa and Giles. Now that win gives Michael Dowson the championship for this weekend. In a moment, Heat 2 of the 250cc production bikes.
9 o'clock Monday.
Let's go.
The deadliest chopper in the world.
Heat 2 of the 250cc production bikes out on the track now. Let's see how they line up. And Barry, of course, the grid now relevant to how they finished in Heat 1.
Yeah, that's right. Robbie Baird, pole position. Well, first in the last race. Tom Larson, Michael Milligan, John Chiodo, who had a fantastic ride up from about 35th place, and Robbie G. Second round of the grid, Freddie Baynes, Graham Morris, and it was the older Graham Morris. Michael Krywinski, Paul Geddes. Third row of the grid, Chris Wilkie, Jason Love, Kevin Sayers, Chris Taylor and Paul Free.
All set for a race now. Watch for the green lights. Good shot of the start here. Revs build up away. Nice start there from the front row. Two really bowling out of the blocks. Baird is one of them.
Yeah, Robbie Baird, he got the whole... That's a good shot, isn't it? Well, Robbie Baird got the whole shot that time. So he won't have to work as hard, at least on the first couple of laps he won't, but he's going to have his work cut out with this lot.
Well, that camera position you're looking at there is on Fred Bayer's bike. That's number 1. And had a disappointing run in the first heat. He's the current champion, but he's on bike 1, and we'll get some good shots from him.
Yeah, I can see Tommy Larson. Oh, dear, somebody down. I can only assume that that was a bang into somebody, because it looks like a little bit late to have lost his front end.
Larson, Milligan. As they make their way around now. Still Larson. He was very competitive in the first heat, so he's taken the lead off Baird. Baird, of course, had to do all the work from way back on the grid in heat 1. This time he started in the right position, but already he's been muscled back to third. Milligan now. Milligan all over the back of Larson.
Yeah, it looked like Larson just made a little bit of a muck-up with a gear change there, and that's all you need in this game, and especially in this class. It's a little faux pas, and you've lost a lot of ground.
Well, Larson was disappointed because he did so well in the first one, and he really got involved in all sorts of dramas, and I think he swapped places about 11 times that first race.
Ah, look at this. Robbie Baird running a bit on the wide side there. And you see Graham Morris up there again, and it's experience, you know, and he was very unlucky to lose all that ground, but on the other hand, he was lucky, and it's probably easy. Oh, there's somebody down on a Kawasaki.
Oh, that was hard too. That was a big one.
Oh, dear me.
He looks okay. He'll get up. Talk about tough and brave. You see how hard they come down. They get straight up.
Yeah, that's... it's a very different... now, watch, if we can see here. I don't think we see the beginning of... No, we don't see... It looks as if, well, by the way the bike came into frame in the air, it looks as if it could have been a bit of a sort of a high cycle.
Michael Milligan aboard the Honda, doing a fantastic job. Really made a good break from the start. Capitalised on his lead and was built on that. Comes down the main straight, round the left-hander. And he has got those elbows out.
Yeah, really big elbow man, isn't it? It's handy if you're in a little bit of a tight situation, just a little nudge here and there. Nice smooth ride, you know, he's not sort of got it sideways everywhere or anything.
7 of 8. Well, he's probably a bit surprised, Baz, that he's got a lead like this in this class.
Yeah.
You'd be sitting saying, how good's this? He comes up through the back markers, no problems there at all, gets through nicely. It's all about rhythm, isn't it? And he's got plenty of rhythm going for him on this particular bike, on this particular race. He can't do it any better. Nice pictures here from Eastern Creek. Perfect conditions for racing here. And a big crowd in attendance.
Well, it's perfect for us up here. It's really hot for the guys out there. It's in the sort of early 30s here. And it's very humid. So it's, you see the guys when they get off the bikes or out the Group A cars or Group E cars, they are really sweating.
And you'll see those little marbles I'm talking about on the side of the track. It's all the little pieces of rubber that have blown off the tyres and they just get flung onto the side of the circuit. And you've really got to be careful you don't get on any of those. And as we said, the concept of this meeting is fantastic, where we get so many forms of motorsport marrying together for the day. And the fans in Sydney have really shown their appreciation and turned out in their thousands.
You see, they tried this a long time ago in England, and it just didn't work because we were looking at cars then that leaked oil everywhere, bikes that fell to pieces, you know, and the nature of the circuits were concrete walls here, there, and Armco barriers and that, and it just wouldn't work. But you get a circuit like this that's pretty much wide open spaces, and they do very little to it to modify it, well, nothing as far as I can see, to suit the bikes and the cars, which is great.
Robbie Baird doing a number on Morris. Down the straight doing a Morris on Morris. Morris has been doing that all day. Throws the front wheel up. So Baird, cocked down and ready to go. Just dusting off Morris a little bit too around that part of the circuit.
Yeah, he's a good little rider, Robbie Baird. Definitely a little goer.
Queenslander aboard the Suzuki. course, won the first heat here in dramatic circumstances, and it was a real dogfight right to the flag. This time round, he's chasing Milligan, who got such a good start and capitalised on that. It's been a good dice between these two. Here's our leader, Milligan, now.
Yeah, barring a faux pas, he's absolutely got it sewn up. You see what I mean? Look how nicely turned out his leathers and all that kind of stuff is, and that is the way to start, you know, not start sloppy and your bits hanging off your bike and bad paint jobs and everything, you know. That's definitely the way to learn. You see, you saw all the little marbles then you were talking about.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, so you really got to make sure you do it neat and tidy, because you get on one of those things and boy, the back end is just going to slip away. But over the top of the straight now, comes down to the finish line. Michael Milligan with a fine ride on the Honda, bike number 7, and will win this one comfortably, and that's a fine win. Second place is going to be a little bit different. Oh, I don't know.
Maybe Graham Morris.
Maybe Morris.
Maybe Morris.
From Robbie Baird, who won the first heat, of course. Michael Milligan very, very happy indeed as they make their way round. We'll confirm the placings.
Right,
let's have another look.
Okay. Now watch for the long white line. I think it was Morris. Oh, you tell me. That was close. I think they don't come any closer than that.
Okay, let's recap the results of the 250cc production bike race, race 2. What a beauty, too. Michael Milligan, of course, won on the Honda, but the judges saw it differently than we did on the line. Robert Baird awarded second place, Graham Morris third, Tom Larson and Robbie G. Now, the overall standings, Robert Baird takes out the meeting with a fine win overall on the Suzuki. Michael Milligan second, Tom Larson third, and Australia's Motorsport Spectacular, the Winfield Triple Challenge, continues. Stay with us.
The fifth test continues today.
The new look Group A is out for the second of their races here at Eastern Creek, and there's a hint of rain in the air. 15 laps, it could come down. Alan Jones, a different looking grid this time round.
Yes, it's by virtue of the placing in the first grid, Darryl. It's still Glenn Seaton on pole position by virtue of his fine win in the first heat. Larry Perkins is now next to him on the grid. Behind him, Jimmy Richards. Steve Reed next to Jim Richards, who drove very well indeed. And the two beautifully turned out Product Motorsport cars of Bob Pearson and Bruce Stewart. There they are now. It's a lovely coloured cars. You can see very vivid colours. Terry Finnegan coming through.
Larry Perkins, of course, on the front row of the grid this time round. Now, let's have a look at the hard chart. Up to 160. Remember, around about 90 is normal, and that's an exclusive piece of information we're giving you right around Australia. Our hard chart here at Nines, Wide World of Sports. 157 Larry, settling down as the old thumper gets into tune for the start of this race. Now, he had a bit of bad luck. There was a bit of a biffo in the first round, and Larry's tyre was rubbing against the body, throwing out an awful amount of smoke.
The other thing to look out for, Darryl, is Peter Brock up at the back of the grid. He didn't finish in the first heat, so because of that now he must start at the back of the field, so he'll be one to watch in the first couple of laps for sure.
Yes, electrical problems forced out Brock. He had a pretty wild ride for the first couple of laps, in amongst some big action, waiting for the start now. Holden takes on Ford, the fans go up. They love this out here at Eastern Creek as we build up for a start. Larry Perkins staying a little creep. Here they go. Waiting for the greens. They held them forever. Away they go. Steve Reed with a Commodore up the centre with a great start. Brock 2 comes down from nowhere on the grid and makes up about 4 or 5 places. Jimmy Richards in the Winfield Commodore moves up into second place. Look at Reed and look at Larry out the outside. Oh, throws out the house bricks and everything he can to get up into second place, but Jimmy Richards holds it. No, Perkins has another go.
Great move by Larry. I mean, to go around the outside like that was a great effort. So he looks like he's slotted into third. Great start by Reed. Didn't look at Glenn Seaton. He's gone. It was a really good start by Glenn. Oh, Brocky's forcing his way through. Got him too.
Oh, Brock with some big aggression here. He had to come from a long way back on the grid, forcing his way through the big white 05. Larry Perkins in second. Steve Reed doing another good job in heat 2.
There's a good old ding-dong battle going on here in the Formula Holden, that's for sure. Oh, look at Reed. Oh, 2 wheels up on the inside. Forces his way back under Brock. Brocky won't like that. He'll be definitely having a major go back at him very shortly. Jimmy Richards got the eyes on too.
The two product cars we're talking about there running two. It's some big slidey stuff. Reed still holding Brock out. Brock won't like this. He has to make up all of those grid positions. He lost starting so far back. But Reed there. Perkins is second. Richards is in third. Steve Reed is the next car along. Then there's Peter Brock.
A ripper start by Brocky. He was 16th on the grid, and where is he now? 6th or something. So, whoop, locking up brakes.
Brock inside. I think he got him. Brock came down on the inside. Yep. Yes, sir, he's got him. So Peter Brock now chases Jimmy Richards. Steve Reed in behind him. Listen to the crowd here. They love Brocky. They love the Fords. They want to see the Ford-Holden battle continue. And anybody that said this formula wasn't going to work, rocks in their head.
Look, you know, the crowd speaks for itself. And every time the Falcon goes past, they go berserk. It really is back to the good old days of the V8 giants having a major battle. And when we get Dickie Johnson and a few more Fords on the grid, it's going to be unbelievable.
And you can see the storm clouds are building. We could get some rain before this is over. I think that'll make it interesting. Jimmy Richards in a car they only turned the wheel in anger for the first time here at the creek throughout the week in very wet conditions. Haven't had time to sort it. Perkins taking the older car out, running the old VN and doing a pretty good job too in second place at the moment. Glenn Seaton, see you later, he's gone. That Falcon at the moment is in sensational form. Brock now closing in on Jimmy Richards.
Yeah, well, the VN, or the VL Commodore of Larry Perkins, of course, doesn't enjoy the aerodynamic advantages of the VN, the big rear wing, as we can see now on Jimmy Richards' car. And it does have a 7,500 rev limit on it, but it is not restricted to the 10-to-1 compression ratio of these cars. So horsepower-wise, it's probably enjoying a little bit more.
Brock, Peter Perfect now, makes his move on Jimmy Richards, comes right up behind the big red bumper. Look at the big spoilers from the rear. Oh, they're good-looking things, these new touring cars. Don't worry about that. And the crowd here love them. They've turned out in force, and they're screaming and yelling for their heroes now. Jimmy Richards under a lot of pressure as Brock makes his move down the straight. Sits in behind the Winfield car. Watch him at the end of the straight. The big long shoot here, he'll dive out of the brakes if he can. Richards holds the line. No, Richards will hold him out. Now Brock.
The thing to do here is for Brocky to stay as close as he possibly can behind Jimmy, and then when they get up to the left-hand hairpin, then pull out and try and get him under brakes.
Now he makes his move. Will Richards leave the door open? Oh, yes, Brocky through, and the crowd here in front up and yelling. Oh, they want to see Brock have a go at Seaton. I don't think he can get that close to him at the moment. Seaton running away and hiding. The Falcon absolutely flying here.
Seaton's gone. He's in another race.
Well, now can Brock get to terms with Perkins? What a drive from Brock. This is the form he showed in the Wellington Street Race in New Zealand not long ago. He had the big Commodore V8 up and honking, let me tell you. And he's doing it again now. Electrical problems put him out in round one. Making up for it now with Peter Brock's style of old. Closing in two on Larry Perkins, no doubt about that. There's the gap. Richards still in behind. There's the storm clouds. Oh, a bit of water up there.
See, Peter moves his hand around on the wheel. Very relaxed style. Now, this is going to be good. I think he's definitely closing on Larry a little bit.
No doubt about that, AJ. He really is closing in. Larry Perkins in his new livery of Castrol colours. A big injection of money has gone into Perkins. A soul of the Touring Car Championship this year from Castrol. Well done. And, of course, Mobile now chasing him with P. Brock. And the Winfield car of Jimmy Richards not that far off the pace either. A lot of brand new faces in a lot of brand new places here at Eastern Creek, and the fans are loving it. Every time they come past, they're up and yelling.
Darryl, I was going to say that it's been a long time in Australian motorsport since we've seen a grandstand full of people hop up and cheer every time a certain car goes past.
Larry Perkins trailing the Glenn Seaton Ford. He's not quite in touch yet. The big action, of course, where the Brock can catch Perkins. Larry, not the easiest guy to get past.
No, he's certainly not. And I tell you, while this is not a bad field, it's the cream, there are a lot more cars to come in Australian touring car racing. What's it going to be like then?
Larry Perkins now. We'll have a look at the Nines exclusive heart chart of Larry Perkins. Up to 100. 147, 160, jumping around like jumping Flash Jack is Larry. The old Pompa's really doing its business here as Larry tries to hold out Brock. There he is, hard at work.
195 he's got up to then.
Unbelievable when you consider a normal rate's about 90. It's jumping around, it's pumping around. Larry using all the road and some. As I said, he's not the easiest guy to get past. Brock, he'll have to do his work here. Brock, Perkins, 1 and 2. Glenn Seaton out in front. Absolutely dominated this year's races so far, as he did last year by winning the 2 heats in the Sierra. Brock, they're getting plenty of lock-up, plenty of smokes coming off the tyres, and that's what these cars are all about. A little bit of slip, a little bit of slide, a little bit of action.
Lots of body work, preferably flying in the air. That's what they come to see. They come to see big cars going through corners very close together. And that's what touring car racing is all about.
Larry Perkins seesaws the wheel. Brock closing in, ready to pounce if he can get past LP. Not the easiest man to get by. Larry doesn't like to get past. Brock now, close enough. Now we'll see some action. Glenn Seaton's out in front. See you later. It's all over for him if he keeps going. This is where the action is. Perkins in the old VN. Brock in the new VP. Classic difference in body styles of the two Holdens, you can see for yourself.
I see Larry locks the front wheel, but so does Peter as well as they come in, and as the car leans over to the right going through a left-hand corner, it takes the weight off the wheel, and that has a tendency to lock it up. See, Larry just locked his up then. That's all very well and good, but if it continues to do it all that often, you'll put a flat spot on that tyre, and then you get a vibration through the steering wheel, and of course it wears that away more quickly.
So Brock trying everything he can to get as close as he can to slingshot himself past. But Perkins knows he's there. He'll close the door every time he can. He knows that I don't think he can get hold of Seaton, but he certainly doesn't want Peter Perfect to come round him. Look at this, you can't get any closer. Brock ready to pounce. Larry saying, catch me if you can. Get round me if you can. Great stuff here at the creek. Again, that brake locks up and Brock puts his nose inside, but no go.
Larry will have a better exit than that because he went in a little bit wider and made sure that his exit was going to be a little bit cleaner. Peter went to go on the inside and as such paid the penalties. He's dropped back 3 or 4 car lengths.
Well read, AJ. He's dropped back a fair bit there on the straight. Down he comes. Look at the attitude of the car now as it goes through. Sits nicely on the road. Looks a lot bigger, doesn't it, than the old model that Larry's driving?
Yeah, it does. Well, I think the rear wing and the big front spoiler just make the car look that much bigger, but in actual fact, it's, I think, smaller and lighter, obviously.
Well, this is a new look touring cars, and there's been a lot of debate. There's been a lot of discussion about it. The fans here at Eastern Creek, well, they've given their approval. They love every second of it. It's a pity that they can't get near the Ford this weekend, but that'll change as the season progresses.
I hope not, Des.
AJ gets his test run at Amaroo Park in the new Ford. Can't wait to get in it. I've never seen AJ so pumped up, I'll tell you.
I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, Glenn just raves about the car. He said it's a real good form of motor racing. As you can see, like, as I said before, we haven't got a depleted entry. I mean, we have the cream of racing, but, I mean, when John Bowe and Dick Johnson and all these guys come to a full grid, can you imagine what it'll be like?
Fantastic stuff. Well, Larry Perkins has done everything he can. Brock just can't get past him. He gets close enough, but the traffic there, look at this, they're weaving their way through the traffic. That'd be nice, these two looming up in your mirror.
Yeah, I think if you're in a small Corolla or something, you'd have a tendency to wave them through.
Brock probably lost a little ground there with the back traffic. You can see, oh, big lock up again and loses more ground.
He went very light on the back end, 2 under brakes. The back of the car started to slide out a little bit. That would have cost him a bit of time again.
Not that much closer, maybe a fraction this time round. See if he can close in on the end of this long, long straight. These cars really winding up. They get some big speeds down here, both on the brakes now. Brock probably didn't get any advantage out of that at all. So Larry Perkins doing a great job. Halfway mark, just about 7 out of 15. Glenn Seaton, you just saw a flash of blue at the top of your screen. He's not that far in front. He's probably got, what did you think, 4, maybe 5 seconds. He'd be doing it pretty easy. Remember, they've got to use the same tyres all day long. Now, Glenn Seaton had a great run in the first heat, so he's nursed his tyres, he nursed the car. It's pretty fresh, he's ready to go. And I'd say he's just doing it pretty easy at the moment. He knows where they are, exactly where they are.
He's got 5 seconds at the moment, Darryl, so he could pretty well pace himself, I would. If he has to pick his game up here, I reckon he will. But if he doesn't, he'll just bring it home.
Watching himself through the traffic and hoping that all the back markers give him the courtesy of the leader that he is. He doesn't want to have any problems here. He won this series last year, the Winfield Triple Challenge, driving the Ford Sierra for the Peter Jackson team, and looks like repeating the dose this year. Here's the dice, though. The traffic could have a bearing on these two. Brock very close now. Puts the front of the car right in the back. And have a look at Larry's heart chart. It's up to 204. 204. Larry Perkins' heart chart reading out here. Unbelievable stuff.
Well, the fatigue is probably, you know, the heat. I mean, these things, as I said before, are like a mobile sauna bath. The heat would be getting him the fatigue, and that in turn will be really pumping that, getting the whole heart pumping.
Well, it went from 140 up to 200 under brakes. Unbelievable. But he's certainly holding his own down this big, long straight. No doubt about that. Brock probably losing a little bit of ground in the traffic there, but he's got to keep fighting his way back to get into touch with Larry Perkins again. Perkins, a real tough customer. There he is. Look, 200 on the heart chart again. Larry sees Brock come up, and the pumper goes to 200.
Well, 204 then. I think the VN is, it looks certainly a little better under brakes. It looks a little bit more stable, and its corner weight seemed to be a little better looking than Larry's car under brakes.
So Perkins, one eye on the mirror, one eye in front of him. He knows that he can't really get into touch with Glenn Seaton unless Seaton does something silly here or has a problem with the car. At the moment, he's more concerned about Peter Brock is climbing all over him. He has now for the last 4 laps. Brock has done everything he can to get past Perkins and just can't get in touch. This time he's a bit closer. See what happens this time round. Storm clouds holding off at the moment.
Glenn Seaton's getting away by about 0.3, 0.5 of a second a lap. Of course, all this dueling helps a bit, see, because Larry's driving defensively. He's holding up Peter where Peter's a bit quicker and vice versa, and that, of course, is helping Glenn Seaton just edge away even more.
Brock, can you believe the race pace on Brock? When he gets it on, the eyes are like dinner plates.
Well, he's a fabulous competitor. You know, he's been driving touring cars since Big Ben was a wristwatch. I mean, there's nothing he doesn't know about touring cars, and he is certainly the most educated touring car campaigner in Australia, bar none. And Larry won't be able to make the slightest little mistake. Brocky will get him.
Brocky's just switched the lights on, as if Larry didn't know he was there. Well,
that could be sometimes if the battery is overheating a little bit, or the alternator is playing up or whatever, they turn the lights on to try and drain it down a bit. That may be. Or alternatively, if they're coming up to lap slower cars, the slower cars sees the lights and move over, and it might work in Peter's favour against Larry.
Great stuff here at Eastern Creek between Larry Perkins and Peter Brock. Once teammates, they've won Bathurst together a number of times. They've formed teams together. They've had their fallouts, their fall-ins, but they're always, when they get together, it's pretty rough stuff.
You see Peter made up a bit of ground under brakes, and of course the other thing, it could be a bit of the old psyching out. He's, you know, if Larry's looking in the rear view mirror, Pete just switches on the headlights to give him something else to think about.
So, this is terrific stuff, and what a season we're going to have of touring car racing if this is any indication. And the fans here at Eastern Creek, you've got to believe, are just hooting in the stands. They just love this. Glenn Seaton way out in front, but this is where the dice is. There's no doubt about that. The rain might just hold off. It's very, very black above us, but I don't know if we're going to get too much water. That would have made things really interesting at the moment. You can see the change of colour in the sky there. But Brock doesn't really know what else he can do to get past Perkins. Perkins throwing the car around with Gay about and using all the road and then some.
Now, Peter's pretty well placed, and he came out of there fairly cleanly, but it looks like Larry has definitely got the legs on him down the straight, so he is actually pulling away.
No doubt about that. That's happened lap after lap, hasn't it?
Well, you know, as I said before, the VL should really have a few more horsepower than the VN because, you know, it's not subject to that... There we go. No, it's not a mistake. The compression ratio, it's not... it has the same rev limiter as the VN, but it's not subject to that 10.1 compression, so it should have a bit more horsepower, which obviously there's no substitute for horsepower down the straight.
10 of 15, and Brock's lost a lot of ground in that exchange of the traffic. He really has got way off the pace now. I mean, Larry can really ease back just a fraction, not that he would, of course, but that's as much breathing space as he's had in second place in this entire race.
He's in trouble. He's in trouble.
Yeah, Brock has gone. Can't see Brock. There he is. Strapped. Well, he's way back, isn't he? The car had an electrical problem in the first round and pulled up.
Well, you see, that might account for the headlights coming on, the electrical problem. It might have a fluctuation, and so that's where he's whacked it. See, he's got them off now.
So, Peter Brock, perhaps a problem. Perhaps he just lost too much in that traffic.
No, he wouldn't have lost that much in the traffic. He's definitely got some problems.
Well, he'd be pretty disappointed, Peter Brock, because after the performance he put up in New Zealand recently in the Wellington race, I mean, honestly, I don't think I've seen him throw a Holden round with so much aggression for many, many years, and the car just looks sensational on the circuit over there. He went from 43rd spot to 6th after heavy rain forced the field in for tyre changes in the early part of the race. And it was a very, very exciting drive from Peter Brock. It had New Zealand, let me tell you, on its toes. And he was hoping that the car would pick up and run on that performance here back in Australia at Eastern Creek. But slightly down on what we thought it could do this weekend. But, of course, it's the first race of the season. There's a long way to go yet.
Well, we have something like about 4 laps to go, and now the interest remains if Jimmy Richards can catch Peter Brock. Whoops, a daisy, we've just had a major blow-up.
Steve Reed just blowing the engine in a big way right down the straightaway here. The crowd are up. I mean, there's nothing much to cheer about. Poor old Steve Reed. She's let go in a big way.
Yeah, I think that's a very expensive retirement.
So with just a lap to go now, the Peter Jackson team will take out this Winfield Triple Challenge, Australia's Motorsport Spectacular, for the second time in a row. If he just keeps it going for one more lap. Did it last year in the Ford Sierra. He's going to repeat the dose this time round in the Ford Falcon. It's been a very interesting exercise today. We've seen just the new face of touring cars and the way everybody's getting excited about the new package. Larry Perkins is rumoured that he'll take over the Holden racing team, racing one car under the Castrol banner and the other car with Thomas Mazzera on board under the Telecom banner. So that could be all very interesting stuff. Barry Sheen in the pitch. You've got some news?
Yeah, I have, Darryl. Apparently the problem is with Brocky is the rev limiter that Cams have given him. Apparently it packed up in the first one. They didn't say, they said it wasn't there. But the rev limiter is apparently packed up again. And what it's doing is just cut the engine out. But Cam said there's nothing wrong with our rev limiter. Would you agree with that, Jonesy?
Well, if Cam said it, they're right.
Well, naturally.
Barry Sheen on the job in the pits, and now we know what's happened to Brocky's car.
Darryl, I tell you, we've got one lap to go, and I don't know whether it's possible, but when that car crosses over the finish line, just listen to the people in the grandstand. Unbelievable.
Well, they have really taken the car to their hearts today here at Eastern Creek. Every time he's rolled it out on the grid, the crowd has stood up, they've clapped, they've cheered, and it's been a marvellous sight. Oh, that's bad luck.
Oh, that looks like an upright failure or something on the front right-hand side. It's a shame to happen this late in the race.
Larry Perkins still working away. He had, of course, Brock all over him for so many laps. Brock still closing up. He's not that far back, but Larry Perkins still locking up everything. So the flag ready now for Glenn Seaton. Second time on the trot. He'll take out the Winfield Triple Challenge for Group A cars here. And the crowd up on their feet here on the stands, absolutely hooting and yelling. Glenn Seaton gets the flag, and listen to the crowd. There you go, standing up and cheering. Boy, oh boy, we've got some Ford fans out here this weekend. Larry Perkins comes across the line. Great drive from Larry. He gets another big reception here from the crowd, and Peter Brock flashes across after his problems. So this jam-packed crowd have really enjoyed their first encounter of the new-look Group A cars, with no doubt about it, the top dog this weekend being Glenn Seaton in the Ford Falcon. Let's have a look now at the results of the Group A touring cars and results of race 2. Glenn Seaton again the winner in the Falcon. Larry Perkins second. Good drive from Larry in the Commodore. Peter Brock, Jim Richards and Bob Pearson. Fine drive from him, a new team as well. The overall results now, let's have a look for the second time running. Australia's Motorsport Spectacular, the Winfield Triple Challenge, has gone to Glenn Seaton from Larry Perkins and Jim Richards. And of course, down pit side, Alan Jones talking to his new teammate.
Well, Glenn Seaton, congratulations. A back-to-back win, not only on today, but on the year. You did the same thing last year.
That's right. The car is absolutely fantastic, Alan. The fellas have done a fantastic job, and also really I've got to pay credit to Bridgestone, who have come up with a fantastic tyre. I think as the year goes on, but Winfield will be back with their Commodore, and the Commodores will be hard to beat once we get to all the other circuits. So at this stage, I'm really delighted to win the race, and also to say the Ford is back.
Congratulations to Glenn Seaton taking out the first of the big Group A races for this year. And what a drive in the Ford Falcon. Falcon is back, no doubt about that. The second part of our Winfield Triple Challenge continues on Sunday the 14th, 1 o'clock. Check your local guides right around Australia. That's the big drag action. Plenty of tyres smoking up here at Eastern Creek, and you're really going to love that. So till then, next time round here on Lions Mobile Sports, Darryl Eastlake on behalf of all the crew, goodbye from now.
Well, we do say watch the world with us.
10 seconds.
Quite a few of them.
Why?
Welcome to Sydney's Eastern Creek Raceway for part 2 of the Winfield Triple Crown Challenge. All the action coming away this afternoon is from the drag strip, that quarter mile bit of bitumen that really sees the big cars burn it up. Milton Addy, this is the form of racing gets you turned on and turns on the rest of Australia.
Yes, Darryl, the sun's going down, the heavy hitters are coming out. We've got some fantastic action
from the supercharged Wild Bunch sedans. We've got the methanol burning alcohol dragsters and funny cars, and we've got nitromethane burning top fuel dragsters running in excess of 250 miles per hour. It's all going to happen at Eastern Creek Raceway tonight.
If you like your tyres burning, if you like your fuel smoking, it's all going to happen here. Stay with us. Here's the action. Out they come now, the top fuelers. That's Jimmy Reed. Look at him. He does a little smoking here at the quarter-mile track here at Eastern Creek. The man that's really set the sport alight here in Australia, the Australian champ. He's been a great ambassador, Milt, all around the world, and he's up against Rod Bradshaw.
Yes, the track's had a little rain this afternoon, so they may be a little cautious in this first round. What we've got to realise here, these cars put out 4,000 horsepower. That's a horsepower shedding exercise all the way down the track. And when you've got 4,000 horsepower under your right foot on a track that's an unknown quantity, having had a little bit of rain this afternoon, I wouldn't like to put money on either of these guys, because too much horsepower could in fact lose this race, Darryl.
Exactly, yeah. It's been pretty slippery out here. We had a storm at Eastern Creek a little earlier this afternoon, and there has been some activity on the circuit to try and wear it in to get some bite in the track. And of course, Jim Reed and Rod Bradshaw will need all of the help they can get. Now just watch these rear tyres light up. They really distort as the cars come off the line. What sort of speed can we expect Jimmy Reed to turn in here at Bradshaw?
Normally you're looking at in excess of 250 miles per hour.
250 miles an hour on a quarter-mile strip of tar. Watch this happen, Australia. Fantastic stuff here. Jimmy Reed, you're seeing the best out early. Rod Bradshaw.
First light on, that's the pre-stage. One more light to go. There'll be one flash of amber and they'll be gone.
All happens in just a blink of an eye. Rod Bradshaw, look at the eyes fixed on the Christmas tree, waiting for the lights to come. Up go, you'll see the plumes of flame come out of these exhausts. Jimmy Reed getting himself set. Here we go. Look at Reed, gets it down on a big slingshot off the line of Jimmy Reed. Oh, he's in form tonight. Jimmy Reed blasts his way down the quarter mile.
A 5.68 elapsed time, and Darryl, we promised you 250 miles an hour. We got 250.56. Rod Bradshaw breaking traction, going 6.29, shutting down to 167 miles an hour.
Jimmy Reed just had the whole place rocking and rolling here. Plenty of shaking around the stands. The crowd just absolutely love him. Okay, so the American taking on the Victorian, Glenn Micris from the US of A. That's Glenn Micris there. Nicely turned out vehicle 2, and Pete Davis is so watch these tyres distort as they light them up. It's unbelievable. They just completely change shape and they just like stand tall, don't they?
Well, that also happens down in the deep end.
The intensity in the eyes. I mean, it all happens so quickly. The reaction time so important for once that tree starts to light up and they get that power down. And of course, it all looks like it happens pretty easy in a straight line, but controlling one of these things, a big handful.
Well, that driver has a lot to think about before going into stage. There's a lot more to this than driving up to the starting line and tramping the pedal.
Set now. Glenn Micris from the US of A in the blue and gold car, and the black and hot pink colours. Keith Hayes from out of Victoria. Here they go. The American gets away pretty well. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, sir. Wow, have a listen to that. The whole stand has started to shake here, and the crowd love him. Oh, the crowd love him.
Yes, sirree. Glenn really showing the way to the deep end with a 266.59 terminal speed. That is 1 mile an hour off the national terminal speed record, and a 5.38 elapsed time. Big hole shot for Micris to take that win.
Oh, reaction time sensational too.
Actually, Glenn with a slightly slower reaction time than Keith Aegis, but the car reacting much better after that and going away for a convincing.
Look at it come off the line.
But
Rochelle Splatt from Victoria taking on Robin Kirby.
And Rochelle, of course, the daughter of a very famous drag racer, Ian Splatt, who is a pioneer of drag racing in this country. Because these cars are all running large aluminium aftermarket hemispherical chambered V8 engines, supercharged, fuel injected, and running on nitromethane fuel. A fuel that carries its own oxygen content, as distinct from the alcohol brackets, which we'll see up next.
Robin Kirby moves up now into position. Here we go. Watch for the trouble. Here we go. Great start from both girls. Got away very well. But it's Rochelle Flack that really came out of the blocks. And wow. Well, let's have a look at that.
A 5.84, 240 miles an hour neat for the little lady. 5.8 for a reaction time of 0.57 of a second. Faster off the starting line than Robin Kirby. A 5.9 for Robin, shutting off to an 8.1 at 111 miles an hour. But a little lady goes 5.84, 240 miles per hour.
Well, once she got the bite, the horsepower took over, didn't it? Really just dug in and let go. Stay right where you are. Australia Board Drag Racing from Eastern Creek after the break. Got alcohol cars coming out. We've got a mixed bag here, Milt.
Yes, funny cars and dragsters together, but we have two funny cars in the first race of the round. Dale Pedersen in the white pearl Chevy Beretta bodied car, and Vic Baker from Sydney in the red and blue Corvette bodied car. Both cars running Keith Black aluminium engines, and you can see those escape hatches opening on both of the funny cars on the back up from the burnout to let the smoke out from the interiors of these cars.
Okay, so Vic Baker sitting there in the red and blue car will take on Dale Pedersen in the white car. All ready to go.
First round or top alcohol?
The funny cars about to do their thing at Eastern Creek here in Sydney. Conditions fantastic, a massive crowd in attendance, and away we go. Oh, gee whiz, it was a pretty even start. Oh, gets a little sideways too. Oh, and Baker does the business.
Baker going through first, and Dale Pedersen shutting off immediately. He crosses the centre line, as is required by the stewards. Vic Baker, a 4.99 reaction time, goes 6.63, 213.78 miles an hour. Dale Pedersen shutting down. Right, Gary Phillips with a huge burnout across the starting line.
Well, this is going to be a beauty, isn't it? Because David Glenwright and Gary Phillips have got a lot of respect for each other. I suppose that's putting it mildly.
Yeah, well, I won't go into that one. But these guys are heavy hitters of the first-class order in this bracket. So there's a lot resting on this race because we're running in low. The pushback girls are really dressing up for the day-to-day. But, yes, that's Karen Brew, I'm led to believe.
Flojo costume.
Yes, definitely. But we're running in match race trim for this eliminator this weekend, so we're having paired passes, and of course the two fastest elapsed times go into the final.
Well, Gary Phillips and David Glenwright, what we're saying is there's a lot of competitive spirit between these two. They don't probably mix too much around the garage scene, but they really like to see each other on the track. This should be a ripper, and that's not a bad costume.
Yes, Karen's certainly doing her bit to add to the glamour of the Posse Bond Racing team's image.
A showdown between two very strong competitors, David Glenwright, Gary Phillips. That's Phillips.
Gary Phillips in the Aussie Bananas car, so obviously a Queenslander.
Visors are down. This should be a real drag-down stopper, this one.
David Glenwright, of course, driving for Posse Bond Racing, and Gary Phillips driving for Gary Phillips and Aussie Bananas.
All set now. Plenty of tension around the track here. They know there's plenty of feeling in this particular match race coming up.
A little slow to bring on that second light.
They're holding them back a long time. Here we go. They're away for a pretty even start too. But Phillips seems to get the edge. Oh no, Glenwright! Oh, Glenwright mowed him down with a big run there. He came from nowhere to nail him. Good stuff.
Yes, Posse Bond with the best reaction time, the Posse Bond car with the best reaction time. Glenwright pulls a 4.5 on Gary Phillips, goes 6.23 an elapsed time, 220.59 miles per hour. Gary Phillips with a 0.47 reaction, 6.42, 215.
Want to see this because they came out of the blocks together. Now watch this. From behind, just comes up, gathers him up and says, catch me if you can.
And it's noticeable that Posse Bond's car is faster in terminal speed because Gary Phillips is running a big top fuel wing on that car, which pushes the car down but slows him down in terminal speed.
No doubt about that. Oh, that was good stuff, wasn't it? And Glenwright just came from behind and nailed him in a ripper. Here we go, Les Winter in the Wild Bridge bike car, the Chevy 55. Look at him spurring it up. And Ben Gatt in the multi-coloured car here. We're going to see some action here. I just love this class of car. The Chevy, I think, sensational.
Wild Bunch Racing, one of the most exciting forms of drag racing ever to be introduced. And of course, another Ford versus Holden confrontation. We saw a bit of Ford versus Holden in front of the crowd earlier this afternoon, and it's all back again. Ben Gatt, the hero of the Ford set, running a 351 Cleveland with a supercharger, and Les Winter with a blown Rodec, which is an aftermarket Chevy pattern engine with a Lenco transmission in the 55 Chev. A Ford versus Chevy confrontation.
I'm on the Wild Fridge. I'm on the Chevy.
You won't get any of my money, Darryl.
Watch this thing leave the line. It smokes its head off. It does the twitch, and it just rockets. Let me tell you.
And runs 190 mile an hour when it feels like it.
I just love this car. Sensational last year, the big Chevs, and we've got some better ones to come yet too. But this thing, it really is a business. And Ben Gatt, he'll be in there trying too. Very quick motor car. Holding, away they go. Ah, Gatt got the jump, no doubt about it. Come on, the Fridge. Come on, the Chevy from behind. Oh, can't do it. Can't do it. The Fridge has been wiped. Oh, defrosted. What go? Oh, boy. What a letdown.
Well, Ben Gatt, of course, getting 4/10 of a second start, but a good lead for Benny Boy there. A .44 against Les Winter's .61, a 782 at 176 miles an hour.
I'm filthy on the Fridge. Next matchup.
Victor Bray in the Castrol 57 Chevy, one of the most famous drag racing sedans of all time, and a crowd favourite. And your old mate, Darryl, Andrew Constantinou in the blue Holden.
Constantinou, I'll get it right this time, Andrew. Don't worry about that. Andrew Constantinou.
And he's brought his friends along again.
Ah, yeah. That's the butcher, Andrew Constantinou from New South Wales, taking on Victor Bray, the legendary black car. Beside him, this will be a ripper one too. Watch Bray if it does the business, because it just leaps off the line. Let me tell you, this is the new version of what we saw last year, and that was sensational.
Yes, for a tomato farmer, he's pretty quick.
Set for a start. Here we go. Oh, beautiful. The butcher out of the blocks quick. Can he bet fall back? Look at Bray. The butcher gets sideways, and Bray comes storming home. Oh, big run for Bray. Oh, late start, but didn't he come home?
Good reaction time for Victor, a .46, runs a 794 at 177 miles an hour. And the butcher, he hasn't weighed in too well today, a 9.58 at 147.
177 mile an hour. Can you believe it? Replay. Let's see what went wrong. Milt.
Well, of course, it's a handicap eliminator. The Victor getting the better start, a .46 and a .5 for Andy. But Andy just tap dancing around on the gear change there and getting a bit crossed up. Victor with the pedal on the middle all the way to the back door.
Oh, it's solid, isn't it? When it comes home, just dead straight and fast. Beautifully turned out too, Jeff Devlin from the ACT. The whole new part of the Wild Bunch, and you can see why they're called the Wild Bunch. They are a wild bit of gear. Alan Fountain from New South Wales in the Falcon. Remember, there's a slight handicap here, so one will get the jump. There it goes. Oh, nicely done, though. Can he run him down from behind? The two utes at full time. Here at Eastern Creek, listen to the roar. The crowds love them, too. They're upset. Oh, more of that. We don't mind the utes. Where's the catalogue in the back? He'd have the ears pinned back.
Yes, a good one. An 8.29 for Al Fountain at 165 miles an hour, going right past Jeff Devlin's 147 mile an hour pass.
Back we go, more Chevy action. This is my stuff. Lucky Valeri and Cole Dunn in the Chev.
Cole Dunn in the Super Performance 55.
Look at it smoking up. Oh, I love the Chevy. He's getting sideways, just getting warmed up.
And 541 cubic inches of big block in the Chev, and a small block, 280 cubic inch small block in Lucky Valeri's beautiful little Commodore.
Okay, so Valeri, Lucky's toy, he calls it.
Cole's lost the plot a bit. He's backing up way off mark, waiting for his wife Anita to back him up there. He's about 3 feet off his tyre tracks.
Well, you can see the rubber there just took a sharp kick to the right. How do you follow that back?
Anita trying to get him back into those tyre tracks, because it is very, very important at this early stage of the meeting, as the track comes in, that they use all the traction that they can get.
Greg Thompson in the Chevy now, sets himself to take on Lucky Baleri. So it's Thompson and Baleri. Here we go, away they go. Both get away well. The Chevy lifts out. Oh, it still kicks itself sideways, gets a little bit, and he's fouled. He's fouled. Well, the warm-up didn't help him, and he didn't learn any lessons because he did exactly the same thing race start.
Yes, the Dunn and Thompson car fouling on the starting line, and Lucky Baleri getting a freebie.
He's copped the foul, yeah, his reaction time. So just too quick, too eager. And boy, oh boy, he really had to fight that thing down there. The Winfield Triple Challenge Drag Racing continues when we return. Second round, top alcohol races out on the track now as they prepare for this battle. We've got Stan Tyndall and Gary Phillips in a matchup.
Gary Phillips in the red and white Aussie Bananas car, and Stan Tyndall, a former champion Top Fuel drag boat racer turned dragster driver.
So just completing their burnouts and getting set up now. Stan Tyndall in the Stanola and Gary Phillips in a very well prepared and pretty car.
Notice in the backup there on Gary Phillips Aussie Bananas car, the immense rear end in that car, not derived from an automotive transmission, a specialist built differential built especially for drags. There's a great big huge strong aluminium housing there, and of course it has to be strong to take the immense horsepower that these alcohol engines put out. Alcohol engines putting out in excess of 2,000 horsepower. Gary Phillips losing in the first round because we're running match race format, and the two fastest ETs will go into the final.
Getting set now, you can see the look on the driver's eyes, the determination, and that's what they'll be fixed on, that tree of lights there. Here we go, the standby lights working, ready for a start. Here we go, good goal. Phillips away very quickly too. Tyndall starts to pick him up now, but Phillips will get his catch. Tyndall worked over to the line there. I'm not sure if he really blew that. Let's have a look.
A good 4.7 reaction time, a good hole shot by Gary Phillips, run 6.30 at 217 miles an hour.
217.81 mile an hour. Look at this, he got out of the line really well. Now watch Tyndall. Tyndall started to drift over that centre line. Oh boy, yes he did too. But Phillips made a clear shot of it and plenty of power as he raced down to the line at well over 200 miles an hour. Big burnout here from Alan Dobson in the Castrol car. Look at the smoke just pouring off the back of this one.
Good point on this car too, Darryl. You'll notice from the front shots, this car has a huge injector intake. It's got a 4-throttle body, or 4 circles in the injector intake. And compare it with the car on Dale Pedersen, or the injector on Dale Pedersen's white car. That's a huge air intake on the Dobson car.
All set to go. Alan Dobson in the multicoloured Castrol car against Dale Pedersen in the pearl funny car, the all-white car. Standby lights are there. Now the tree starts to work. Watch for the start. Here they go, lighting up. Oh, Dobson got it down quick. Pedersen starts to fight back, but Dobson too good, too strong. Oh, he's come out of the hole in a big way there. Roared down the quarter mile. Let's have a look at the time. 225.34 mile an hour. For a time of 6.238.
And Alan Dobson's funny car going 6.23 faster than Gary Phillips's top alcohol dragster with a 6.3. So looks like this West Australian-based funny car could end up in the final.
Reaction time there too, 0.496 against 0.515. Steve Reed this time from the United Kingdom. The Englishman out in the Castrol car. Has the engine running. Watch him to light him up here as he'll get the crowd going too. Here he goes. Watch these tyres totally distort when he starts to burn it out. They're bouncing down to the line. There they go. And look at that. They go from fat to skinny in 1 second. Unbelievable. John Noonan, the Top Gun car, his competition. He really lights them up.
John having to be very careful not to cross that centre line even on the burnout.
Steve Reed from the UK, a big reputation coming to Australia.
Yes, a man of international renown, has raced in the United States very successfully and is an outstanding racer in Great Britain and the continent. And you'll see the TAD markings on that car. New terminology for this year, top alcohol dragster, being the terminology that is current. Yes, pre-stage on. Reed staged, Noonan staged.
Here we go. Oh, the Englishman out quick, but so was Noonan to follow up. This is really close. Too good, the Englishman. In the end, he came out and really powered to the line with a time of 216.03 and a foul to Noonan. Fouled it out, so the Englishman kept the power down. His time was 6.277.
Yes, 0.04 or 0.4 of a second just slower than the previous run, so it's a real battle to get into that final round.
And Noonan fouling out on that run.
Yes, Noonan with a 0.397. That's 0.003 of a second too quick on the starting line, Darryl. I guess you can be forgiven for doing that occasionally.
Much more to come from the top fuelers here at Eastern Creek. Stay where you are. Well, the big guys are coming out to play, only this time it's not a guy, it's Rochelle Splatt in the pink car here. And Rochelle really is going to have a job ahead of her because she's got Jim Reed as a competition, but she has beaten Jim Reed before.
Yes, Jim's transmission or rear end let go last time he raced Rochelle. And there's Jim burning out, and you can see why, with over 4,000 horsepower in either of these cars. So you're looking at a combination of almost 8,000 to 9,000 horsepower in the one race, Darryl.
Unbelievable stuff here. Jimmy Reed lights him up. He doesn't like to be beaten. Rochelle Splatt has made a big impression here right through the day in the pink car.
Cute as a Cupid doll with 4,000 horsepower under her right foot.
You've got some terms for this girl. Cute as a button, cute as a Cupid doll. She's pretty fast at that. The hot pink car, look at this. This is the sight the drag racers love to see. The fans have come to see.
Yes, unless you've ever seen or heard a nitromethane engine run, you've never heard of racing.
The entire grandstand where we're sitting on top of here absolutely shakes as these monsters come down at unbelievable speeds.
Yes, Reed running 250 miles an hour. Look at the eyes on him in that red Winfield car. Running 250 miles an hour. First off on a fresh track. The track is better. The air is considerably better, Darryl, because it's cooler. A fabulous evening at Eastern Creek.
And, of course, the American, Glenn Micris, we'll see him coming up shortly. Actually went quicker than the 250 mile an hour of Jim Reed. So there's a lot to be done here. Rochelle Splatt. That's Rochelle. She's set. Jim Reed, she's on. Let's have a look at this. Wait till you hear these things. Wait till you see the flame just belch from the exhaust. Both ready. Now they're both ready. Here we go. Let them light up now as Reed comes out of the blocks. Rochelle doing the best she can with Reed. Oh, too good. And what about the thunder? What about the noise from Reed? Sensational run. Let's have a look at the time here. 258 mile an hour. Oh, boy, with a time of 5.655.
And the little lady with a cute boot in it right to the deep end.
The cute boot, I love it. Look at this off the line. Reed lights everything up. The track starts to shake, really rattle and roll, and Rochelle not disgraced in any way.
Never a disgrace to get beaten by Jim Reed, but you notice some little incendiaries coming out of those exhaust pipes. Quite often, Darryl, they're little pieces of molten piston.
No doubt about that. Spectacular stuff there, and you can see that's exactly the trouble that Rochelle had. One bank of the engine there not firing up. You can see the smoke pouring out of it.
Yes, I guess there'll be a few cheap pistons available as souvenirs in the Rochelle Splatt pit.
Well, the American Glenn Micros has just had a look at Jim Reed and what he can do. Micros, of course, on the first run here in round one, set a time of 266 mile an hour. He gets set for a solo run. It doesn't look like Rod Bradshaw is going to make it out to the line on time. Oh, look at the American start to roll. The vibration coming out of this thing is unbelievable.
Yeah, that was a bit of a skull cracker, that one, and a fantastic shot.
Now look at this, you're looking at a camera we've got on top of that enormous wing, and this will be the sight that you'll see in one of our replays coming down the straight on Micros's car. This will be something to see. Backs it up now. Micros knows that Reed is his competition so far. He's already bettered him by a number of miles an hour. His best time so far at 266 mile an hour. Backs it up. Looks like the Yank taking on the top dog Australian.
Yes, the two lowest ETs will get into the final round. We're running match race series, and then the two lowest ETs into the final round. What a fabulous shot, Darryl.
That is a great shot, and I can't wait to see the replay from that angle. It'll be something else.
I'd buy a print of that.
Because that track really starts to narrow down when you look at it in that point of view, isn't it? I mean, a quarter mile, but she tapers down pretty hard at the end.
Yeah, well, the Beatles wanted us to come with them on a magic carpet ride. I think you're going to come on more than a magic carpet ride with Glenn Micros.
Okay. Set. Interested now. The visor comes down. Time to show Jim Reed what the American's going to do. Oh, see it come off the line. Have a listen. Oh, it comes past us. Unbelievable. Let's have a look at the time.
5.88 seconds at 2:59. Still faster in the terminal speed than Jim Reed, but it's the ETs that'll get him into the final round.
Oh, 5.888 at 2:59.07. Here we go. Look at this. Look at the flames. Look at the vibration. And look at that track narrow down. You're sitting on top of the Yank as you go down Eastern Creek's quarter mile.
And that's all the time it takes for a real race.
This guy has been electric tonight. He just lit it up a little bit of a back off there for a second, shuts it down straight away. Spectacular action, flames belching, the whole thing vibrating. The stands just can't believe the noise. And what about that? Not his best time in speed, 2:59 against 2:66. Shut it down pretty quick, as you saw there. Keith Aegis coming out now. Hollywood, better known as, he doesn't mind a little bit of glitter. We're seeing a bit of sparkle come out of the exhaust tonight by Gina. Micros running, have him psyched up, fired up, and he lights it up too.
Drag Racing's answer to Billy Ray Cyrus.
Keith Aegis. Oh dear.
And Robin Kirby in the Federal Mogul car in the other lane.
As they back up now, Robin Kirby, Keith Hollywood Aegis getting set for a big one. Doesn't mind putting the name on the helmet either, Hollywood.
Party anytime.
Big and gold.
Race anytime.
Sounds like my sort of guy.
Ladies, you're missing the side of your life under this helmet, but you can apply it as pit.
Of course, the competition, Robin Kirby, the black and red car.
Looking very serious.
Yeah, the Victorian's got the race face on that and about that. Look at Hollywood too. The eyes are flicking around. He's looking for a camera. He's found it.
Giving the crew a few terse instructions there.
Okay, just wants it lined up a little better, a little straighter. They're spectacular. There's no doubt about that. There's flames belch out of here. There's tyres distort.
What you have here, Darryl, is a real live race car.
Ah, sensational. The rubber burns, just the smell, the sound, the sight. Here at Eastern Creek has everybody on their toes. 40,000, well, in excess of that, I would think, here tonight on a beautiful night at Eastern Creek. We've had storms go over us, and we've had plenty of fireworks on the circuit tonight. Look at this, lit up, beautiful sight. Yes. Who said Eastern Creek wouldn't work?
Sorry, Bob.
Looking down from the top of the hill where the dragsters finished the quarter mile, and away they go. Well, there's been a bit of a muck-up. Hollywood hitting off the line. Robin Kirby thunders down. No contest that time round.
And a few little grenades out of Robin Kirby's car.
A lot of expensive smoke and steam coming out of that engine, I would think.
Yes, that's a wounded warrior.
Off the line. What about the grunt? What about the noise? What about the smell? What about the rubber? And what about the expense at the end of this? Did it all right. The competition failed, but so did the engine.
Drag racers don't really care if they go across the finish line. It's just spitting flames out the exhaust. But once you're across the finish line ahead of your opponent, doesn't matter a darn.
Jeff Burnett from Queensland now coming out. Beautifully turned out motor car. Watch him light it up now. His competition will be Rod Bradshaw, who couldn't make it out to an earlier showdown, but has got the car running, so he's going to go off against Jeff Burnett here. Burnett on picture.
Jeff, a very experienced racer, right from day one in drag racing, was a star of the old Gasser Wars back in Surfers Paradise days. Frequently seen lately in top alcohol, and has made the step this weekend into top fuel dragster racing.
Pretty wimpy burnout.
Well, maybe Bradshaw's not in the other lane. They don't want to use up any bits. We haven't seen the other lane yet, Darryl.
I like the smoke.
There's nobody there. You don't use up the dollars.
I like the noise. Waiting for Bradshaw to come. Is he there? We're just... oh, there's Bradshaw, so he's there. They're very similar sort of car colours at this night from where we're sitting. Both there. So it's Burnett against Bradshaw. It's Burnett.
Burnett going forward the stage. We don't know what's happening with Bradshaw there. Just can't see the other lane at the moment.
I can see a Chevy coming out in the background. I don't care.
That's Wild Bunch coming right up next.
The Chevys are coming.
We better get you a license, Darryl.
So Burnett, Bradshaw. A little bit of a delay going on here with Bradshaw. No, he says, I'm fine. The visor's down. Let's get on with it.
Waiting for Bradshaw to stage. He's in.
Okay, away they go. Oh, even money too at the start. Watch them come out the line. Well, Bradshaw's had a big problem, I would think. Oh, Burnett with a roar.
And the burner well named, because he's burning.
Oh, yeah, Bradshaw had a big problem off the line. You saw the engine just light up there. There's flames licking out everywhere. He was never in the hunt, although off the line it looked all right. But about 2 seconds in, he started to have some major problems. Have a look at the car on the right-hand side of your screen. There it goes, lit up like a Chrissy tree. Oh, another expensive one. Whooshka, plenty of dollar notes.
I think that could have been a clutch explosion, Darryl. It looked like a lot of magnesium sparks from behind the engine, but whatever it is, that was a big bunch of 67-cent Australian dollars.
Well, Burnett might have done a little wimpy sort of a burnout, but he really won that. But look at that. That's got to be expensive. There's lots of flames, lots of smoke, and I shouldn't be laughing because someone's going to pay for it.
We thought the fireworks were later in the program.
Oh, on the left, just burning away, and of course shut down as quickly as possible. It happened about 2 seconds in, as you saw it. So Burnett gets through. Let's have a look at his time after all of that. 244.43, a time of 6:05.8. More Wild Bunch action to test the quarter mile here at Eastern Creek shortly.
Steven Seagal under siege in the year's hottest new movie. Tonight,
dial 911.
Hollywood's newest tough guy is here on 9 in Hard to Kill.
Now's the time.
Tomorrow night, he's above the law.
Foreman Chevy of Goldun. The yellow peril getting set to take on Ben Gatt. The big Ford lights it up. Look at the Chevy starting to smoke. Yes, sir. Money's on the Chevy, Milt.
You're still not going to get any more money, Darryl.
Ben Gatt now, of course, in the big Ford.
Yes, a favourite with the Ford fans, a blown 351 Cleveland. People say you can't put superchargers on Clevelands. Tell the Gats that. They've been running this car for years, and they have a new car ready to go.
Okay, Cole done. All set. The Wild Bunch are back in town. Here we go. Watch these guys slip and slide and get down the quarter mile. Ben Gatt, slight start here, so slight handicap. Don't be fooled by the one car getting away slightly quicker. Away they go. Oh, the Chevy launched itself in the air, but Ben Gatt's going. The Chevy fighting back on the front. Oh, the Gatt's got him. Oh, the Gatt got him. Have a look.
One for Ford.
Whoa, the Ford got him again. What's wrong with the Chevys tonight?
Ben Gatt, 7.89, 175.37 miles an hour. And Cole Dunn a little later with a 7.59. 7.59, 175.99.
Oh,
Not
Chevy got a little sideways there as he tried to come on to Gatt, but Gatt just got away too clean. But what about those times? We're talking about 175 mile an hour.
Andrew Constantinou, a guy who is noted for his performances on his track and his assistants that are endearing themselves to Darrell Eastlake.
Yeah, who will forget?
And in the other lane, Les Winter in the other big shoebox Chevy.
The Butcher sets it up. The blue machine lights up. Ah, look at Les Winter in the white fridge. The crowd are on my side. Chevy's got to get up tonight somewhere along the line. There's plenty of smoke and fumes coming out. Bit of huff and puff out of the Chev when he opened up the lid. They back him up. The girls get a round of applause. So the Butcher gets ready. Andrew Constantinou up against Les Winter in the white fridge. The crowd love the fridge. Should be good shootout this one. Les Winter, that's him you're looking at now. Andrew Constantinou in the blue car. All set, here we go. Watch the fridge. He's got to run from the back. Now the fridge gets it down. The blue Butcher's going. The Chef comes back. Oh, that's a beauty. That's a beauty. The Chef for mine.
In the win.
Yo, beauty. About time too. 164.29 miles an hour with a time of 7.787 seconds. Yo, beauty. Go the wild fridge. Well, the blue Butcher got away. The Chevy got away as well. But, of course, that little bit of handicap here had to run him down from behind. Gave him plenty of time, too. Then kicked it in and have a look at it go. Yes, sir. The U-Butte Utes are out burning it up, and haven't they lit up the track? Have a listen to the crowd this time round.
The greatest exponent of the Wild Bunch burnout, the man who put the wild into Wild Bunch, is Victor Bray in the Castrol 57 Chev with a massive burnout across the starting line with Jeff Devlin in the Fireman's Quickie in the other lane.
Have a look at that for a car. Jeff Devlin, great stuff. ACT in the Holden. Isn't this wild? The big Chevy, the Holden's gone. Away goes Bray, the Chevy now. Gets it a bit sideways. Oh, the U-Butte Ute. I think it's going to hold on. Bray comes at him. Too late. Let's have a look at the times. Well, Devlin with a great performance here. He took on Bray, the big bad Bray, and boy, oh boy, his reaction time was just super. It was as good as you get. Bray come at him with everything he had, but the Ute too strong. The Fireman's Quickie home.
Right, Alan Fountain now in the blue Falcon Ute. Again, Keith Black powered, a large engine in that car. 482 cubic inches of Keith Black, and Lucky Baleri with that little high-winding small block Chev. 280 cubic inches in the late model Commodore. Very, very pretty car, beautifully prepared. But Al Fountain with that monster-motored Falcon Ute over in the pit side lane for the last race of the second round of Wild Bunch Racing.
Alan Fountain now comes to the line. We think that Lucky Baleri may have some oil pressure problems. Are looking down that area, Milt. And he was late coming to the line. It was a bit doubtful whether he'd make it or not.
Yes, they sent out for parts, but we don't know what the problem was. But now it's too late. Lucky's on his way.
And he's on his way all right too, but look at Fountain. He picks him up straight away. Fountain's going to get the cash. No doubt about that. The crowd love the Ute getting up. That stirred him up, I'll tell you. The Ute coming home. Let's have a look at the times here for you. A speed of 159.63 miles an hour. Don't go away. Back shortly with a wrap-up from this year's Winfield Triple Challenge.
.6:30 tonight. Get ready for action. It's Australia's...
Well, unfortunately, welcome back to Eastern Creek. The heavens have finally opened up here. We've been very lucky over the entire Winfield Triple Challenge. We've had 3 or 4 big storms go round the Eastern Creek Raceway, and you wouldn't believe it, just 3 races to go, the big finals, and the heavens have finally opened up here in the west of Sydney, and the rain absolutely pelting down. And of course, once the track is so wet, just far too dangerous to carry on with any drag racing now. And Millen, it is a disappointment because we've had an enormous crowd here today, and we've seen some fantastic racing.
Absolutely fantastic day, and what a disappointment. A lot of disappointed racers as well as disappointed fans, and as you said, so near yet so far.
Well, I'd like to congratulate Sydney for turning out in the numbers that they have, and of course I think the whole concept of the Triple Challenge is just fantastic. Touring cars, motorbikes, production and superbikes, the Group A cars, and of course the drag cars in all forms of categories here. It really is a great experiment, and it's worked so well.
A wonderful day's racing, and let's hope we get it right next year.
Milt, nice to have you with us again, and to people all around Australia, hope you've enjoyed the Winfield Triple Challenge from Eastern Creek. We'll see you next time round on Nine's Wide World of Sports.
Tonight in your Sunday night at the movies, see Steven Seagal in Hard to Kill. Then tomorrow, he's Above the Law. A Steven Seagal action double over 2 big nights, Hard to Kill and Above the Law, tonight and tomorrow night on 9. Coming up next, the beach volleyball competition.